It's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Lizer with Lizer Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Our goal at theDove is to glorify God and help our audience connect more closely with Him. Something else we do here at theDove is help connect our audience with reliable businesses and vice versa. Some call it advertising. Here at theDove, we call it outreach. Connecting businesses with people they can help and our audience with reliable businesses for the help they need. If you would like to reach out to our audience with your business or service, give us a call, 541-776-5368.
theDove TV, encouraging, informative, and your home for Wretched TV weeknights at 9 p.m.
Yeah. Nowhere in anything that I looked at that it said that. So I don't know. It is Oregon. You wait 15 minutes.
That's right.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Monday. A lot going on in the news. We'll get you caught up on that. The weather does improve, believe it or not. But, a little spring sprinkle is good.
Hey, you know what? You know, you were talking about whether it's been called for or not. Look what your weatherman said today. Yeah. Southern Oregon.
Chance of showers. Well, that's because...
Good job, Logan.
You're better at it than I am. Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, anyway, how was your weekend?
It was calm and eventful, all in the same weekend.
Yeah.
I did a lot of elevation. I did a lot of resting, and I even got out, pulled a coverall over my jammies, and I went out and got on my mower. Pam was out using her weed eater that I bought her. And she was on this big section, and it was really high, and I thought, no, that's too much work. I even felt bad looking out the window at her.
Okay.
So I went out and I got on the mower, and I went and mowed it down for her.
Well, okay.
Oh, that girl. If I had known what I was getting then, oh, my.
Listen, you got a jewel there.
Oh, my goodness.
Not every woman will grab a weed eater or a chainsaw and go to work.
That's right.
Did you buy her a hard hat and a pair of, overalls?
Leather gloves.
Leather gloves?
That's right. Yeah. Got her all set.
Okay. Well, anyway, good morning to you. A lot in the news. We'll get you caught up on that. Anything special today?
Yeah, and here's another one, a category that Pam falls under. It's National Roadie Day. Roadies are the backbone of live music. They're the ones that get it to the gig first. They're there last. They haul all the equipment in. They haul all the equipment out. They get it set up and stuff. And I have never had a roadie until I got hurt. And now when I go to church to lead worship, I can't carry my own stuff. So Pam gets up with me, and she carries all my stuff into church. And she it's got an upside too, because we have to get there so early, and she's never there there that early. I go usually when I'm playing by myself. But so she's there early now, and she's like a greeter. So she's saying hello to everybody when they come in.
Pam,
Yeah.
this is going to end, and you cash in. You cash in. I don't know what it's going to cost him, but go for it.
All right. It's a National May Ray Day. It is celebrating the bright sunshine and warmer weather, and there are many benefits of being in the sun, especially after a long winter. But be careful, all things in moderation, because we know that there's a downside to the sun.
Yes.
And your dermatologist will tell you all about it when you get a little older and you got something you say, what is that?
Yeah.
What's that on my skin?
Yeah.
So be careful out there. It's also National Devil's Food Cake Day.
Ooh.
A heavenly chocolate cake. It differs from a regular chocolate cake by its darker color and tends to be more moist and airy. Devil's Food Cake recipes use hot or boiling water as the primary liquid. Cocoa is typically utilized in the batter as opposed to just plain old chocolate. And coffee can sometimes be added for a distinct flavor. Delicious chocolate frosting usually accompanies this cake.
What's it called?
Devil's Food Cake. And I'm not sure why they took such a lousy name for it.
Yeah.
You know?
What's the deal here?
Yeah. And of course, the opposite of this is what?
Angel food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Dark side or light side?
I don't know. That is really good, especially with a little coffee in it. So, you know, I did some work over the weekend, and I had to go somewhere, and I took a lunch with me.
Okay.
I made myself a peanut butter sandwich.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know,
Right. You're self-sufficient.
Oh yeah, I'm a one-stop guy. Okay.
Yeah.
But I had a little container of coffee in there, that I put in there. I wasn't paying attention. When I finally got where I was going, and I unloaded the mower, and I'm mowing away, and I come back and I thought, well, I better have part of my sandwich. My coffee had spilled over.
Oh.
Listen to this. I'm in a Ziploc bag with nothing supposed to get in it.
Right.
Well, coffee got in there.
No way.
Yeah. I don't know how. So I had a peanut butter and jelly coffee sandwich. Yeah.
You know, that doesn't sound half
Wasn't bad. When you're hungry, you go for it.
Well, speaking of going for it, our little fun fact for the day revolves around this word. Take a look at this. It popped up in front of me. See that thing on top?
Yeah.
Look at that.
What is that?
Sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia.
You said it.
Yes. Oh, boy, it took a lot of practice,
Yeah.
and I had to Google it. So you know what that is? That is the scientific term for a brain freeze or an ice cream headache.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has an actual scientific term. And you know what it's caused by? It's caused by getting too cold in the roof of your mouth. You know, back in the soft palate back there, it causes dilation of blood vessels, and oh boy, it causes all kinds of problems. We all have done it. And so how can you make a brain freeze go away?
Well, I guess warm water.
You know what? You are right on the money. Not hot water. That's too much of a temperature change. But warm water. Press your thumb up on the roof of your mouth. That'll warm it. Drink something warm. Maybe just eating, slowly continue to, or put warm food in your mouth and put it up on the roof of your mouth. I've never done any of this. I just go like this for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I know. And then take another bite away.
Right.
Another bite of ice cream.
Ice cream. Or you know what gets me every time? Yeah, milkshake or Slurpee. Slurpee. I look at a Slurpee, I get a brain freeze.
Yeah, there you
go. I
go.
mean, it's terrible. So enjoy your sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia.
Okay.
Woohoo!
All right.
That's it.
All right, speaking of brain freeze, here he is.
With the front moving through the top of our region, bringing another round of widespread showers and gusty winds. Today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, rainy and breezy with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, showers and breezy in mid-60s for Salem and Albany. Showers mainly in the morning for Corvallis with a high near 63 and Eugene near 62 with lows tonight in the mid-40s. A chance of showers, then clearing and breezy across the central Oregon high desert with daytime highs near 66 in Prineville, 61 in Bend, and 58 in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the upper 60s. Along the Oregon coast, showers with a high near 60 in Coos Bay, near 57 in Port Orford, and near 53 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, a slight chance of rain and patchy fog in upper 50s. In southern Oregon, a slight chance of showers in the Rogue Valley, then becoming sunny and low to mid-70s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 60s. Into Northern California with sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s around Wairika, continuing to warm up as we move south with high temperatures near 87 in Redding and 90 for Chico and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, sunny skies for Santa Rosa and Napa with daytime highs in the mid-80s. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 83. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
Okay, there's a little bit different shot because the clouds, we can't see anything from the mountain. So there is a beautiful shot live of the plaza in downtown Ashland. And really, it's Ashland, with all of its interesting parts, is still a beautiful city.
It is a beautiful city.
It is just great, especially Lithia Park. And we started there years ago. And,
that's right.
We miss it, yeah. But anyway, that big building in the middle there is a friend of mine owns that. I know the guy. And then upstairs in the back is a Italian restaurant that's really good.
Oh, okay.
Really good.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, you have not been to the plaza and taken a drink out of that other. There's two water fountains there.
No, I have not been.
Can you guys go back to that, Scott, real quick? Can you go back to that? You see that tree right there? In the middle?
Yeah.
Right behind that tree is a water fountain.
I have taken a Christmas card picture
right in front of it.
Okay, I see it. Yeah.
See that? All right. So then there's another water fountain over on the other side, but you need to drink out of that one.
Okay. All right. I can't wait to see why.
Okay. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
You'll smell it 5 feet before you get there. And it's natural water.
Really?
Yeah.
But I'll smell it.
You'll smell it.
That makes me nervous. Okay. I don't like smelling
you're
my
in
water.
trouble when the dogs don't want it. But there are people who go up there and take big swigs of it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's supposed to be healthy for you.
All right. Okay, well, I'll take your word for it, but I'll check it out.
All right.
All right. Well, here is a look at one of the mysteries of walking in faith, as Anne Graham Lotz talks about what it is to have the Holy Spirit in you.
He's a wonderful person, and his presence is available to indwell you, not just to be with you. You can sit in a group like this, sit next to somebody else who has the Holy Spirit, and you can be with the Holy Spirit, but when you leave this place, you're not with him anymore. So it makes a big difference when you invite him to come live inside of you. And he will never leave you, never forsake. So it doesn't matter where you go, he's going to be in you. Whatever the situation is, you all sang about some of them in the worship time. It can be when you're in the fire. He's the fourth man, but not just with you, he is in you. And so when he comes into you, and maybe just let me ask you one more time. When have you invited him to come in? And if you've invited Jesus into your heart, that's the same thing, okay? So I don't want to confuse you, but Jesus is a gentleman. He's not going to come in just because you come to church. He's not going to come in just because you're good. You're not going to come in just because you want this or that. He goes where he's invited. So you invite him to come in, confessing your sin, willing to turn away from it. Don't play games with the labels you give sin. You just name it for what it is. Specific sins, and then just generally the fact that we're sinners, aren't we? We're born that way. We're just born with the bent to do the wrong thing. And we confess to him that we're sinners and we're sorry, and ask him to give us eternal life and invite him to come in. When have you done that? If you don't know that you've ever done that, if you're not assured that the Holy Spirit lives within you, how do you know he does?
Mm-hmm. Well, what can I say? You can't really say add to that. It's so beautifully said, Good stuff. Anne Graham Lotz. All right. Good morning to you. 12 minutes past the hour. Some headline stories. And over the weekend, the big one is former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with aggressive form of prostate cancer. Apparently, through an office visit, they began to find some problems, and they have now said, and his family and the doctors released late yesterday afternoon, that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by the Gleason score of 9. they call it the grade group 5, which metastasizes to the bone. And they say it's very aggressive. Now, they also say that it can be treated, that it does respond to certain types of treatment, and that they'll be looking at doing that. So in the meantime, President Trump did wish him and Dr. Jill the best as they travel down this road. So it was all very cordial and nice. You don't wish this on anybody. And it's kind of sad because on top of this, dealing with his cognitive struggles and challenges, now this is going to be pretty tough on him. So
is this
keep him in your prayers.
Is this new? Is this something that he's been dealing with that we didn't know about?
Well, apparently they found some lesions on his chest earlier in the year when he was still president, and they removed those, and they were cancerous skin lesions. And so there is that. But the only thing I can say is that they did do an exam. They found I guess when you do a colonoscopy, they call them polyps, but this other type of it's kind of like that, but it was more in the other areas. And so then they did the full thing and found out that it's, once they did the biopsy, pretty aggressive form of cancer.
Let me ask you this. Okay, if Joe Biden had not withdrawn from the presidential race and say he won, would he now be bowing out, and would Kamala be our president?
Well, those are all hypotheticals, and I guess the answer, I mean, if the scenario you laid out did happen, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are big ifs.
Or would he stay in office and then try go into treatment and Jill becomes president? Acting president. Yeah.
I don't know. I think, post-analysis of everything that went on in 2024, there's a lot to be said.
Yeah.
The one that seems to have the most plausible return was that they should have convinced Joe early on, President Biden, early on to step aside and turn it to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Then she would have been the incumbent president and probably would have done a whole lot better.
Yeah, probably.
That never happened.
Yeah.
So this goes to the scripture that God raises up kings and takes down kings. And whether the king is the one you like or don't like, you got to have to believe that God is in control.
Yeah.
But in this stage of his life, he's 82 years old. He obviously has cognitive challenges that are serious. I don't know why the family hasn't protected him better, but they haven't. And now the D's really want him out of the public life because he's a deterrent. And now with this, it all takes on a whole other course.
Yeah.
So
well,
we'll see what
as
happens.
you have mentioned, cancer truly is the epidemic of our time.
It is.
We hope for successful treatment for him.
Yeah. In the meantime, Kash Patel, FBI director, he pretty much, he and Dan Bongino, I can't believe that Dan Bongino is now the deputy director. I mean, I did not know his resume was that solid, quite frankly. I just thought he was a loudmouth on radio.
Okay.
I say that respectfully.
Oh, that's great.
But, I mean, he got a lot of attention, right?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he was on Fox for a while, and then he went and did his radio show. Well, long story short, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino had several interviews over the weekend, and they basically said that they're going to do a wave of transparency with the FBI because it continues to struggle to rebuild its public trust.
Yeah.
No question. Well, who destroyed the public trust?
Comey.
Okay. So in the meantime, and Comey's all over the news these days.
Totally.
Patel pointed at the FBI handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation as an example of political bias and institutional failure. He claims that senior officials within the Department of Justice hijacked their constitutional responsibility by selectively deciding what cases to pursue.
Yep.
And he's going to expose it.
All right.
Now, Comey's in the news over the weekend, and most of the talk shows really went after him. And it boils down to one thing, okay? And I say this because I don't know, but it appears to be, at the end of the day, he's a bad cop.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Right.
And that kind of... But for him to walk the beach, find a shell formation that says 8647...
Wait a minute. Find it or create it?
That is under investigation, okay?
Come on.
So he finds a shell creation on the beach, says 8647. Now, let me ask you something.
Okay.
This is rhetorical, but I'll let you give it to
you. All right.
Is there anybody out there that's an adult that doesn't know what 86 means?
Everybody knows. And as the president pointed out, even kids know.
Okay.
Even a child knows what this means.
Okay. So why did he take a picture and post it? If it was clever and it was unique, he knew what it meant. He took a picture and he posted it. He gets the pushback and withdraws. Well, I didn't know what 86 means.
Of course,
baloney.
Of course he knew what it meant. He did it. He wrote that. He didn't find that.
Okay, so the question is, can they prove that he did it?
Probably not, but that's irrelevant. What an amazing coincidence that he's walking to this guy who may hate Trump more than anybody else, and he walks up and he just happens to see these shells in those numerical values, 8647. Oh, what a coincidence. I'll take a picture of it. Nobody believes that.
No, and this is a guy that lived under the fallacy of that he created and he got away with. He thinks he's scot-free.
Yeah, yes.
This is taking him down.
And you know, speaking of Bongino talked about this. I read an article over the weekend, and he was talking about this instance exactly. And then he talked about all the other things, and this may be under the story that you're talking about of transparency, about so many things behind the scenes that he and Kash Patel are fixing because Comey made so many bad decisions that affected the agency in so many ways, and we're not even aware of it.
Exactly, and I think that he basically, the premise of the story is a wave of transparency is coming. It's on the horizon.
I'm getting all wound up. It's Monday morning.
I know.
Golly.
Down. Get back on your mower with your pajamas. You're the only guy that drives a zero-turn to Walmart in your pajamas and overalls.
I feel comfortable there.
You know.
Yeah.
By the way, Pam, I'm going to get you a gift certificate to Carhartt.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, anyway, in the meantime, as you well know, that nothing's going on with anything between Ukraine and Russia. This has really gotten bad. And President Trump over the weekend said, basically in big, bold letters on X, stop the bloodbath. And this is crazy. So he is supposed to be on the phone with President Putin today. So we'll see. Will they set up a get-together? They need to.
Wow. There, he posted the number like 500 casualties per week. And again, we're not seeing much of this anymore.
No, we're not. This war is out of the news.
Yeah.
And Russia is still doing its thing, and it needs to stop. Now, on top of this, guess who offered a place to meet? The Vatican. The new Pope, Leo, was officially inaugurated as Pope Sunday, and Vice President Vance was there, and Secretary Marco Rubio was there representing the United States. And in his inaugural address, he basically says that he wants peace throughout the world. Of course, we all do. And he's offering to come to Rome and let it be the meeting place for people to get together.
Interesting.
I doubt that will happen, but that shows his heart and his mind. But at the end of the day, Zelensky, Putin, and Trump all need to get together.
Let me ask you this. Putin is a Russian Orthodox, right?
Yeah.
What's the relationship right now between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church?
Well, that's an ongoing, interesting thing. I'm not a pro in it, but I have become more interested in it, and I have become more educated in it. There's this struggle between the two churches. Who's the real church?
Yeah.
I mean, that'll go on.
Well, of course, who's the oldest church?
Well, see, okay.
Yeah.
But what they'll try to do is they agreed to they want to get together again. There is this move, okay, and it goes so far. It's kind of like Russians in Ukraine. But the Orthodox and the Catholics thought, okay, we could agree on all of us being on the Eastern calendar.
Okay.
The next thing is, do we accept the patriarchs or the Pope? Okay, and the Orthodox says, we'll make the Pope one of the patriarchs. And the Catholics said, no, we'll make the patriarchs cardinals.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And it stops there every time. And there's some other fundamentals within the church on how they conduct their services and things like that.
Yeah.
But to your point, Putin is supposedly deeply embedded in the Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
At what point does his conviction kick in that he's killing innocent people?
I don't know, because isn't one of his closest bros the patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
And you want to go deep on that? I am not the guy.
Okay.
Because I have an opinion, and it's probably the wrong one.
Oh, I'd like sometime next break we'll go into that.
No, we won't. No. You know what?
What?
Pam, do me a favor if you're listening this morning. The next time he's in his pajamas driving a zero-turn mower, would you get some video of this for me? You say, why? Well, I just want to send it to his doctor, that's all. I want to send it over to the surgeon and say, look at this dummy out here.
I had my surgical boot on, you know, and I got so covered in grass clipping stuff, she had to take my air compressor and blow my foot off.
Just get some video of it, Pam. And, you know, maybe we ought to get you a Carhartt boot or something to put over the top of that thing. Gosh, this is so out of control. We'll be right back.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
700 Club is always present during crisis.
When people need medical care, their needs are going to be met by CBN.
I was seeing the impact it was making on the people. It just really moved my heart with compassion.
When you're blessed, you're supposed to bless others.
We were really interested in what 700 Club was doing, and it touched our heart.
Watch the 700 Club Monday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Good morning to you. Happy Monday. A lot going on. Well, some interesting stories. One back in New York. What happened here? This is really sad. The Mexican Navy ship with over 270 people on board hit the historic, iconic New York Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, on Saturday, and some people died. And so what happened here, Jerry?
You know what? Basically, it looks
they're
like
going backwards.
They're going with the current of that's the East River there that goes under the Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah. Looks like that they lost power. They don't have power going on, and they're being swept down the river backwards, and they come into contact with the bridge. So the question is, why did they lose power? Why didn't they kick it in and just drive it forward and get out of the way? So we'll see after the investigation. Unfortunately for Chuck Schumer, it's not going to probably play out the way that he immediately went to the press and said this is Donald Trump and Doge's fault for the cuts.
Okay, well, really something really bad happened here, and you wonder why. It must happen so fast they couldn't even get a boat out there to pull it away.
Yeah.
You know, a tugboat or something. But
right. Did they have engine failure? What was it?
This is really a disaster. And when you see the earlier pictures, part of their display was they had all these people up on the rigging, standing on the rigging, holding onto the various ropes and things. Yeah. So 2 people died in this. Yes. And this is really sad. When you see, it's a beautiful ship.
And it's just an amazing image. When I first saw the video, I thought it was AI. I didn't think that actually, because I saw the video before I actually saw the story, and I go, well, this is fake. And then I finally find the story and I see it again. And I go, no way, this really happened. Yeah.
Something really went wrong here. And you can see the boat's going backwards. So the current's taking it, it couldn't recover. And you was wondering if during those moments were they yelling at the crew to get down or jump in the river or what?
Right, or at least hang on, grab a hold and, here we're going to impact.
It's really sad. Beautiful, beautiful ship got damaged. And so the outcome of that, we'll wait for the investigation and see what ATSB says about that one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's another one. Let's come back home to some interesting. This has always been on the works, but tolling on Interstate 5 crossing the Columbia River will start a year later than planned.
Oh.
Okay. Oh. But drivers traveling between Washington and Oregon may pay a little more than originally forecast. The result, tolling in both directions on the existing bridge will be one of the first things the public experiences once the construction of replacing the bridge gets underway. It is also a critical source of funding to help cover, guess what the cost would be? Now listen, this is government for you.
Wow.
To replace that bridge, there's the renderings of it.
Yeah.
Is between $5 and $7.5 billion. Okay?
Wow.
So if people driving that bridge, now you're going to pay a toll. They couldn't get anybody to pay for it.
Right.
Where's Oregon? Where's California? Or Washington? Where's the federal government?
So the tolls are going to pay for it?
Hmm?
The tolls are expected to pay for it?
Well, I guess the tolls are, I don't know, part of the revenue stream to either build it and maintain it. It's kind of like the Golden Gate. I mean, it's been paid for 16,000 times, but it takes that kind of money to maintain it, you know.
Yeah.
Now, I've been across that bridge numerous times. You probably have too.
Yeah.
It cracks and crickles, but that's what it is.
That's an old bridge.
It's an old bridge.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, apparently you're not going to pay the toll this year, but maybe next year as they start. So, $5 to $7.5 billion. Wow.
With a B. Yeah.
With a B.
Yeah.
So, a little backyard news for you this morning. All right, let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on. We have some weather over the top of us, according to this interesting guy next to me. But it'll lift, and nice weather's on the way. We'll talk about that.
This is interesting. I want to find out a little bit more as Senator John Kennedy questions the Transportation Secretary about TSA procedures, and he reveals a bill that he and Oregon Senator Merkley are working on.
When you probably don't have to, but when most people go through TSA, they take your picture. They have a little camera there, and they say, "Look in the camera. We want to take your picture." Now, underneath it is this little bitty sign that you can barely see, and I think it's written in Sanskrit that says, "This is optional." I won't let them take my picture.
I won't either, Senator.
And they promised us that they destroy the data. Okay. Once again, I don't believe that Elvis is alive either. Senator Merkley and I have a bill. There's been no evidence that this has prevented any acts of terrorism. And I just don't know why the federal government has to collect this huge database of every American who flies picture.
I thank you for that. I couldn't agree with you more. I actually try to turn my head away from the camera when I go through and they're taking pictures. There's no need. I think Americans have a right to privacy. And I don't think you need a digital scan of my face to allow me to have the right to fly on an airplane. I think it's absolutely wrong. And what does it do to security? I don't think it breeds any more security in our airspace, on our airplanes. And so thank you for doing that work. I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, this is really good stuff. So what's the purpose of it?
Well, yeah,
now,
exactly.
you can't fly in an airplane today unless you have one of these new IDs or your passport, and your passport has your picture on it. Okay, so why do they need this other picture?
Great question. Yeah.
Okay, so, and by the way, this sounds very conspiratorial. Where is that going?
Yeah, where is it going? Yeah.
There's only one country in the world that uses cameras for everything. Everything. China.
Yeah, right. Okay, I have a question too. Okay, I didn't know it was optional. There's a little sign there that says optional. Mm-hmm. And if you say, I'll pass on that, what, do they pull you off to the side and then strip search you or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
And for you, you're going to be there all week with that leg.
I'll be in my pajamas.
Yeah. You might as well just take the surgical picture of your leg in.
That's right.
You know, and strap it to your Levi's.
I want to say, hey, dude, I got a warning for you. I'm going to set off all the alarms.
Yeah.
So here's why.
Yeah, here's why.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Okay, well, we're going to take your picture. We'll be right back.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your window seal, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603. Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family-run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Romans 1:20 tells us God's power is revealed in creation. Yet 2 Corinthians 4:4 reminds us that Satan has blinded many to the gospel. At the Life Outdoors, we've seen the truth of God, His eternal power and divine nature displayed in every mountain and stream. Follow along and let's wake the wild within. The mountains don't lie. Where there's truth, there's Jesus.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. 25 minutes before the hour. Well, in the meantime, the Middle East is a complete tinderbox. Let's check in with CBN News Watch and get caught up.
This is CBN News Watch. It is Monday, May 19th. We're going to begin this day in the Middle East, where the Israeli Defense Forces have ordered civilians to evacuate the second largest city in Gaza, Khan Yunis, warning them it will be considered a combat zone. That move comes as Israel is launching its major offensive against Hamas. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story now. He's reporting from Jerusalem.
On Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced the new military campaign.
As we promised, we have launched a powerful campaign against Hamas, Gideon's chariots. IDF forces are simply entering with force into the Gaza Strip with a dual goal, defeating Hamas and freeing our hostages.
While the air and ground operation begins, Israel announced it's also pursuing every opportunity to reach an agreement to release all of the hostages. One deal under consideration by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff would include a temporary ceasefire, release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, then followed by more negotiations to end the war. Netanyahu also announced that humanitarian aid is beginning to flow again into Gaza, with renewed efforts to make sure Hamas doesn't steal it. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz says he believes Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar was killed in an Israeli bombing last week. Mohammed was the younger brother of former Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, mastermind of the October 7th attack. In another development, IDF International spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani posted on X exclusive intelligence revealing a so-called Hamas media platoon, including journalists that took part in October 7th. Back from his Middle East trip, President Trump again rejected concerns of a growing rift between him and Netanyahu. He told Fox News that Netanyahu is angry and has every right to be so after the brutal atrocities Hamas committed in Israel on October 7th.
You got to remember, October 7th was one of the worst days in the history of the world, I think, not just local to this region. It was one of the worst, most atrocious attacks anyone's ever seen.
Joins us now from Israel with more. So, Chris, how powerful is this Israeli military operation, Gideon's Chariot? Is the goal to control all of Gaza?
Well, it looks like it's the most powerful operation so far since October 7th, Ephraim. 3 divisions, boots on the ground. Already, there's been hundreds of airstrikes, and as you heard in your intro, Khan Yunis is being asked that all the residents would be asked to leave, that it's going to be a combat zone. The goal is to control all of Gaza, and they call it clear and control. In other words, once they take over a particular area, they will control that. What they did up till now was many times they took control of an area, but they withdrew. Many times Hamas would go re-enter that area. So sometimes they would have to conquer areas maybe 2 and 3 times. The idea is to squeeze Hamas and give them less and less area that they control, and then that would pressure the release of all the hostages. Mohammed Sinwar's death, which is not technically official right now, would make a big deal because many believe Hamas may be more willing to compromise, and because he seemed to be very intransigent during the negotiations. And just to add from that, really now most of Hamas's leadership are gone since October 7th.
Chris, what can you tell us about this ceasefire proposal for a 2-month truce and some hostage releases?
Well, as we said in part of the report, it would be maybe a 2-month ceasefire in exchange for 9 to 10 alive hostages, as well as release of some Palestinian prisoners. Hamas is denying this report. What they want to do, Ephraim, is they want to release all of the hostages in exchange for an end of the war. And that's what they've been wanting for all along, is that there would be end of the war. IDF would completely get out of Gaza. That would leave them in power. And that's something that the Netanyahu government does not want to let happen. That was one of the goals of the war, was to make sure that Hamas was defeated and could not control Gaza. Right now, there's 58 hostages remaining. Ephraim, I was up in Haifa over the weekend. Anywhere you go, you're reminded of who are the hostages. There's billboards, there's banners on sidewalks, and so it's just been such a heartache for this country since October 7th.
Okay, well, things heat up. We'll see what happens. I don't think that President Trump and this administration has been more clear that Iran can't have a nuke. With the Mideast tour behind him now, he's able to say that, okay, all this is behind me, okay, and I've done everything I can to peacefully bring about something here, circle the wagons.
Yeah.
I think sooner or later President Trump steps back and says, okay, baby, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't even think that, I say that respectfully, that Prime Minister Netanyahu is waiting for that to happen. I think he has his own line in the sand.
Okay, let me ask you this. If Israel strikes Iran, if they take this preemptive strike, do they need airspace permission from anybody, any of their neighbors, to get through? And who would that be?
Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so do you think this trip that Donald Trump just took to the Middle East helped pave the way for something like that?
Yep.
Okay.
I do. We don't know what we don't know.
Right. Right.
So here's a guy that knows everything.
With the front moving through the top of our region, bringing another round of widespread showers and gusty winds. Today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, rainy and breezy with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, showers and breezy in mid-60s for Salem and Albany. Showers mainly in the morning for Corvallis with a high near 63 and Eugene near 62 with lows tonight in the mid-40s. A chance of showers, then clearing and breezy across the central Oregon high desert, with daytime highs near 66 in Prineville, 61 in Bend, and 58 in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the upper 60s. Along the Oregon coast, showers with a high near 60 in Coos Bay, near 57 in Port Orford, and near 53 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, a slight chance of rain and patchy fog in upper 50s. In southern Oregon, a slight chance of showers in the Rogue Valley, then becoming sunny in low to mid-70s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 60s. Into northern California with sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s around Wairika, continuing to warm up as we move south with high temperatures near 87 in Redding and 90 for Chico and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, sunny skies for Santa Rosa and Napa with daytime highs in the mid-80s. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 83. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
I get it.
There you go. There's beautiful downtown Ashland. That's the plaza this morning. Live shot. Gorgeous shot, really. Beautiful town. Nice little area down there. So check it out.
Well, you know, I think a lot of us remember when we were younger the excitement. There would be a parade, there'd be animals, there'd be the elephants, everything. It's when the circus came to town.
The circus came to town.
Oh, it was amazing. And it was on this day in history that what would eventually become known as the greatest show on earth got its start.
On May 18, 1884, 5 determined brothers, Alfred, Al, Charles, John, and Otto Ringling, pitched a humble tent in Baraboo, Wisconsin. With a borrowed horse, a few juggling pins, and boundless ambition, they called it the Yankee Robinson and Ringling Brothers Circus. Townsfolk gathered, captivated by acrobats, music, and the thrill of something new. As the years rolled by, the brothers dreamed bigger. They added trains, tigers, and tightropes, traveling town to town, dazzling America. By 1907, they merged with their biggest rival, Barnum and Bailey, creating the greatest show on earth. Under one colossal tent, elephants marched, trapeze artists soared, and magic filled the air. What began as a small-town spectacle grew into the most famous circus in the world, a celebration of wonder that echoed across generations, continuing for 133 years.
Wow.
But it all came to an end in 2017, and it was about the animals. People didn't want animals caged up like that or used as tricks and stuff. But 6 years later, it has reopened, but now it's more like Cirque du Soleil, you know?
Oh.
It's all acrobats and stuff. There's no animals and stuff like that. So anyway, good old days.
All right. Well, listen, Qatar is still kind of in the news. As you know, they offered the president their 747, at least to the Defense Department. That's still a little bit of a controversy. But is the original or the real authentic Air Force One is coming into their airspace to bring the president into Qatar. All of a sudden, some F-15QA multi-role strike fighters from Qatar emerge alongside and escort the plane in.
Oh, cool.
There it is.
Yeah.
So not only does Air Force One have its own escorts of our own Air Force, so this is this is President Trump entering their airspace, and Qatar says, we'll bring our own boys along.
Yeah.
And they put it up there, and they escorted him in.
That's pretty cool.
That's an amazing picture.
That really is. Yeah. Now, do you know what they're flying? What the Qatar Air Force is flying?
They're flying the F-15.
That's the 15?
Yeah, but they call it the F-15QA, multi-role strike fighters.
Oh. I wonder what that...
Now, you remember, most of these deals that he made over in the Middle East was to buy some military.
Yeah.
So a lot of the military companies over here, that the big companies that build things for us, they got some extra money coming in.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, we have no escorts, especially when there's cake and pizza and cinnamon rolls out there. We'll be right back.
They travel across America to give an answer for questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
The Gospels are historically reliable.
Their mission, present truth, faith, and help people find purpose.
Not based on blind faith.
Join them as they strive to make a lasting impact on lives and hearts for Christ.
They're either all wrong or one of them's right. I got to go to the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Don't miss Give Me an Answer, weekdays at 3 on the Dove TV.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
We're talking here about the procedure of faith. After Elijah had done what God already told him to do, then the word of the Lord came to him. And that is the way the procedure of faith always works. It's the procedure of step-by-step obedience before the Lord. We obey one command, and then he gives us another. We take one step, and then he leads us to the next step. And that's very uncomfortable for me and for all of you too. Can I get a witness? We want to know the whole story. We want to see where it ends up. We want to know what problems we're going to face between A and Z. But God doesn't work that way. He leads us one step at a time.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Okay, welcome back. Happy Monday to you. Freedom. You ever defined it?
No, actually not.
The home of the brave and the free and the brave.
Land of the brave, yeah. Home of the free, land of the brave, yeah.
What is the concept of freedom? And where does it come from?
Freedom comes from God.
So, all right, so you're on the right track. So what is freedom? What does it mean?
Exercising of free will with restraints on lawful activity. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
If you're going to go down the theological road, you're free from your sins.
Oh, okay. All right.
By accepting Christ.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, when we think of freedom, we tend to think of, where we live. We think, right.
But freedom, the biblical definition of freedom is the core of freedom in the United States.
All right.
Even the late Rush Limbaugh weighed in on this. He said freedom doesn't come from government. The moment government grants you anything, it comes with strings attached. Freedom comes from, and here's what he said.
You ever wonder how it is, and why it became so, that a population at any one time of less than 300 million people created the highest standard of living, progress, economic, political, education, any standard you want to measure, the United States of America has been the greatest population of human beings in the history of the world. Well, what is it about this 200, 300 million people that are created by far? There's no comparison. The greatest collection of human beings on the face of the earth for good. This is part and parcel of what I call American exceptionalism. What is American exceptionalism? It's not that we're better people. It's not that we're smarter. It's not that we have an advantage because of our geography, because we clearly don't. So what is it that sets us apart? And there's one answer. And it's found in the Declaration of Independence. We are all endowed by our Creator. So we acknowledge God as a country. When we were founded, we acknowledge God. We were all created. We are all endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Undeniable, they're just there. And they come from the Creator. Among them, but not just, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That's pretty simple to me. Those three things, the acknowledgement of our creation by God, a loving God, that our creation, that our spirit has this natural yearning to be free and to be happy, and that there's nothing wrong with either of those. There's nothing wrong with being created, nothing wrong with being happy or trying to be, and there's certainly nothing wrong with living. It was that codification that made one crucial thing possible. And that is for ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. Not the smartest, not the brightest, not the well-born, not the richest. Ordinary. This is a nation that became the greatest nation in human history, however many hundreds of thousands, billions, whatever years you want to say we've been plodding the earth. Ordinary people accomplishing extraordinary things, made possible by the fact that our country was founded acknowledging that our freedom comes from God, not from a government, and not from some other man or some other woman. It does not come from a demagogue. It does not come from somebody promising to take care of us. It inspired people to produce, to take care of themselves and anybody else that needed it in their community via their church or whatever neighborhood organization they happen to belong to. And that's what's been lost.
Wow.
It just couldn't be more clear.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't have been dissected more simply than what he just said there. And what a loss.
Mm-hmm.
What a loss.
Mm-hmm.
What a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone.
Yeah, nobody filled that void either.
No, everybody tried to.
Yeah.
And they filled it with the wrong understanding. They filled it with political nonsense instead of conviction of soul.
Yeah, good point.
And anyway, freedom comes from God, not from government. It's pretty simple as that. All right, Bill Gallagher be in the house. Oh, no.
Woo-hoo, all right.
Okay, do we have some devil food cake?
Give them some.
All right, how many people are graduating, and are you emotionally accepting the transition that they're no longer this, now they're this? They're no longer a student here.
Okay.
They've now graduated. They're in the next phase of life. Are you really letting them go?
Oh, that's a big question.
Now,
Yeah.
Peggy and I had to wrestle with that weekend before last.
Sure you did, yes.
And it is a mind-boggling experience when you see your grandson walking across the podium getting his college degree.
Right.
You kind of go,
Yeah.
oh, my stars were old, let's get out of here. You know?
Yeah,
But at the same time, we have our granddaughter doing the same thing later this month.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. So anyway, we're going to talk about that and how do you transition that. So anyway.
I'll listen in. Thanks very much. Well, we got another rescue story. And this rescue story has a shark in it, but it's not a rescue from the shark. It's a rescue of the shark.
Without hesitation, a woman rescued a shark tangled up in fishing rope using her bare hands. Charity Clark was paddleboarding with her friends off the coast of Florida when they noticed a crab trap buoy behaving unusually before spotting the white outline of a shark. The shark was upside down and motionless in the water, with its body tightly wrapped from tail to mouth in the thick line, so Charity jumped into action. She gently lifted the shark and began untangling yards of rope from its body. The 43-year-old photographer said, "It was just instinct. I didn't even think twice. I saw this animal in distress and I just knew I had to help." Charity believes the shark was in a catatonic state, a natural trance-like condition that makes the animal temporarily immobile, a state that allowed her to work on the rope unhindered. She said she wasn't scared, but she let out a loud scream when the shark suddenly came to life, starting to wrestle with the rope. She added they were so relieved when it started moving, and they were all smiles watching it swim away.
All right. And it was just calm. It was laying there, and she's unwrapping it. All of a sudden, it was like, okay, I'm awake now. Look out. And it took off. But that was quite a rescue. She went in there. She didn't think about it. She just started unwrapping it.
Well, the moral of the story is there's sharks in those waters. And you're out paddleboarding.
On a paddleboard,
yeah.
no less.
Well,
Yeah. Have you paddleboarded before?
You know, I haven't. I probably should because I guess it's good for your balance.
It is.
You know.
And it's fun, yeah.
Yeah, it is, but wrestling with that. All right, here's a good scripture for you today. Psalm 32, verse 8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. What do you have to do with that? Start moving. We'll be right back.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Wildfire season is coming. Are you ready? All it takes is one small ember to level a home. Reduce any fire hazards around your home and property to prevent an escaped fire from spreading out of control and to protect your home from an oncoming wildfire. It's called Defensible Space, and it works. Go to keeporegongreen.org to learn more.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Hey, it's your old car here. Remember me? Remember us? You barely even turn me on anymore. It's clear you don't need me, but that's perfectly fine, my friend, because you can choose to give this old car new purpose and donate. There are incredible nonprofits out there that accept cars just like me. So call or donate online. Donating a vehicle is easy, the pickup is free, and your gift is tax deductible.
The Dove TV is encouraging and informative, and your place to see Transformed, a groundbreaking series that takes you behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people facing real issues. Transformed reveals how lives are changed through Scripture. No issue is taken off the table. Join Dr. Greg Gifford and see lives transformed from brokenness to wholeness. Watch Mondays and Thursdays only on the Dove TV. Enjoy the Dove. Help spread the word. Tell someone who needs the love of Jesus about the Dove's encouraging and informative programming. Spread the word.
To my surprise, but to your knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you predicted it?
We called for it. Yeah, and by the way, it's going to start clearing this afternoon.
Okay.
We're going to see some sunshine.
Okay. You know those moments when you do have sunshine, how warm it gets?
Yeah, it's nice. Really nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so a lot going on in the news. We'll get you caught up on that. Anything special?
Well, it is National Roadie Day.
Roadie.
You know, you've made it as a musician if you have a roadie. Because, you know, amateur musicians or folks that are just kind of struggling to get by, we carry our own cases. We carry our guitars and our amps, and we set up ourselves, and then when it's all done, we take it all down. But roadies are the background of concert, musicians, and the guys are out on the road, and it's really nice to have a roadie. I never experienced it until I broke my leg. Now I have one. She is and she's the cutest roadie I could have ever imagined. She hauls my stuff to church for me when I'm playing, and it's just wonderful. I'm going to milk this. I may be limping long after the healing process is over, but that's just between you and I.
You know,
and our world.
You got to be careful because she's got something in mind.
What?
Yeah. Pam has got a pay me back something in mind.
Yeah, could be.
You know?
Yeah.
Now, being the woman she is, I don't know if it's a new camp trailer.
Well, she's
a faster boat.
You know what? She's got just about everything she needs. She's got a chainsaw. She's got a weed eater. She's got a electric blower. Yeah. She's got me on the zero-turn mower. Mm-hmm. She got. I mean, what else does a girl need?
That's nothing. She's got something in mind.
Yeah, I know she does. She does.
And I think we ought to get her a lifetime gift certificate to Carhartt.
That I would go for.
Okay.
It's also National May Ray Day, celebrating the bright sunshine and the warmer weather that comes our way at this time of year. There are many benefits of being in the sun, especially after being inside for a long, long winter. And a lot of people, they have mood changes through the winter and some issues that come up with that. But
Just light deprivation.
right, and now the sun is coming out more force. Get out there, enjoy it, but be careful. Because this is a double-edged sword. You can get too much of a good thing in this situation.
Yeah, be careful.
Then you go and you visit your dermatologist later in life. It is also National Devil's Food Cake Day. A heavenly chocolate cake differing from regular chocolate cake by its darker color and tends to be more moist and airy. Devil's Food Cake recipes use hot or boiling water as the primary liquid. Cocoa is typically utilized in the batter as opposed to chocolate, and coffee can be added for a distinct flavor. And delicious chocolate frosting usually accompanies this cake, and it is fantastic. They have a version of this kind of at that big seat place we go to, huh?
Yeah, is it
What's
devil
it called?
food? Is it devil food? Or
I don't
is that
think
just that black forest cake?
I think that's what it is.
The
But
black forest
I
cake.
wonder if there's any difference. But devil's food, and I don't know about the name. Why did we got angel food cake? We got devil's food cake.
I don't know.
I don't either. Who's in charge of naming
Well, it's like a
cakes?
deviled egg, really?
Yeah.
Or chicken. Are they possessed chickens? What's the deal?
Well, I got to tell you the truth. I've seen some YouTube videos of what look like possessed chickens that are attacking people.
Most roosters are.
Yes,
there you go.
absolutely. Well, we got a little fun fact of the day, and it revolves around this word. Take a look at this word. It is sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia. Say that 3 times really fast. Okay. All it is the scientific term for brain freeze or ice cream headache. Something we have all dealt with. I didn't realize there was a scientific term, but of course there is. And it is caused when the back of your roof of your mouth, the soft palate, gets too cold. We get a little too enthusiastic about the ice cream or the Slurpee or whatever you may be eating. So the big question is, how do you make a brain freeze go away?
Warm water.
You know what? That is...
Or just tap water.
Yeah. And what if you don't have warm water near you? What do you do? Well, they say press your thumb up into the back of the roof of your mouth. That'll start warming things up. Of course, drink something warm, not hot. Too much of a temperature change. Resume eating slowly, or eat some warm food. Take that pizza that burns the roof of your mouth, just shove it up there and see how that feels. But don't just sit there like I do and go, I can get through this.
Well,
I can get through this.
I know. So,
why did God do that?
Thumb sucking comes back into play.
Oh, there's this. Okay, I thought you got over your thumb sucking. No, no, I just got sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia.
Okay, whatever that is.
So enjoy.
All right, good stuff. Well, speaking of brain freeze.
Yeah.
With a front moving through the top of our region, bringing another round of widespread showers and gusty winds. Today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, rainy and breezy with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, showers and breezy in mid-60s for Salem and Albany. Showers mainly in the morning for Corvallis with a high near 63 and Eugene near 62 with lows tonight in the mid-40s. A chance of showers, then clearing and breezy across the central Oregon high desert, with daytime highs near 66 in Prineville, 61 in Bend, and 58 in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the upper 60s. Along the Oregon coast, showers with a high near 60 in Coos Bay, near 57 in Port Orford, and near 53 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, a slight chance of rain and patchy fog in upper 50s. In southern Oregon, a slight chance of showers in the Rogue Valley, then becoming sunny and low to mid-70s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 60s. Into northern California with sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s around Wairika. Continuing to warm up as we move south with high temperatures near 87 in Redding and 90 for Chico and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, sunny skies for Santa Rosa and Napa with daytime highs in the mid-80s. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 83. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you. This is a beautiful live shot of downtown Ashland at the Plaza, and only because we have a cloud cover over the top, we can't see anything off the mountains. But it's a beautiful little town.
A few raindrops coming down.
Yeah, a few raindrops there, and there is that iconic water fountain waiting for Jerry. You've never been there. I'll say this, you'll never forget it.
And I've been by that thing a number of times. I've never paused. Okay.
I've done it a couple of times, and I keep asking myself why I keep doing it.
And you want me to do it. Thank you very much.
No, it's just kind of like, it kind of rounds out your Southern Oregon lifestyle.
Okay, all right. Okay. Very good. Well, time for some encouragement with M. Gray and Lots. And looks at being born again and the Holy Spirit.
When have you made that decision? When have you come to the cross? It's a miracle that takes place. If I can explain it this way, when Virgin Mary was visited by the angel Gabriel, and Gabriel said, "You're going to conceive the Son of God," and she said, "How can that be? I've never known a man. I have not had sexual intercourse." And the angel said, "The Spirit is going to come upon you, and that which is conceived within you is going to be the physical life of the Son of God." And Mary submitted to it and said, "Be it unto me according to your word." And she conceived within herself the physical life of Jesus. And when you and I come to the cross and we confess our sin and tell God we're willing to turn away from it and ask him to forgive us and cleanse us and open up our hearts and invite him to come in, we conceive within ourselves, not the physical life of Jesus, of course, but we conceive the spiritual life of Jesus, who is the Holy Spirit. And it's a miracle. We become a new creation. So we have a new mind to think the thoughts of God. We can't understand everything in Scripture, but we can understand enough to live by it. And new emotions. We can love people we don't even like. And new will to do the right thing. So, secret to living in victory is learning to live in that new nature, the new creation. We'll still have the old until we see Jesus, but we live in victory when we live in that new nature, the Holy Spirit living within us.
Wow. Okay, reminds me of one of the first courses I ever took in Bible school.
What?
Well, it's called the Christ Life class. Christ in you, the hope of glory, taken out of Colossians. Basically what she's saying there.
Oh,
it was a full semester.
Really?
Yeah, it's life-changing, and I've gone on to teach it in several cases, and I'm not a professor, but you learn enough to pass it on, so.
All right. Well, obviously it stuck with you.
Oh, yeah. It is the reason
All right.
I made life changes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
If you really want to know someday and you got 3 hours, I'll share it with you.
Okay, all right.
All right, let's take a look at some of the top stories over the weekend. And, of course, the big one is a sad one. Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed, quote, with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that will metastasize itself to the bones. And this is serious stuff. But apparently he had some lesions taken off his chest while he was still president that were cancerous. In the meantime, he's gone through some more, tests and things like that. And on Friday, it was diagnosed. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, categorized by what they call the Gleason score of 9. He had a grade group of 5, with which has metastasized itself to the bone. Now, apparently, in further testing, it does respond to certain treatment. We'll see if that's going to be the case. The word that's got everybody kind of tilt on here, it's called aggressive form. So our thoughts and prayers out to the former president. We can disagree with his policies all day long, but at the end of the day, he's a human being in need. And even President Trump reached out to Dr. Jill and the president and wished him well through all of this. But in the latter years of his life, especially dealing with all the cognitive challenges he's had, the combination of the cognitive challenge and now this, he's on a tough road ahead.
Yeah.
So, all right, the other one is FBI Director Kash Patel along with Dan Bongino. I've still got my head on tilt about Dan Bongino becoming the Deputy Director of the FBI. Until I looked at his resume and realized the guy's, gosh, his resume is pretty impressive.
Darn right.
But on radio and television, he was quite the guy. But anyway, they in lieu of last week being National Police Week, the FBI Director Patel hinted that there's coming, quote, a wave of transparency on the horizon as the agency struggles to rebuild public trust, especially in the wake of the long-standing controversy over the alleged politicization of the Bureau. So he and Dan Bongino said Sunday they're already looking into things and pointed that the FBI handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation as an example of political bias and institutional failure. He claims that senior officials within the Department of Justice hijacked their constitutional responsibilities by selectively deciding which cases to pursue. Well, that's become evident. And more is coming out on this. And, of course, all fingers now point towards former FBI Director James Comey, who over the weekend self-incriminated himself by discovering, just happening to be walking. It's almost like President Clinton walking on the beach of Normandy, finding the stones that, remember you found those stones and did what he did with those stones? Well, come to find out they were put there.
Of course.
In the meantime, Comey's walking the beach. He finds some shells that made the figure two numbers, 8647. In other words, 86, which is basically do away with, assassinate, kill, eliminate. 47 being President Trump. President Trump. And now he's saying, I didn't know what 46 meant. Why did you, if you didn't know what it meant and you knew what 47 means, why in the world did you take this picture and put it on social media, and then all of a sudden he started getting pushbacks and we throw it and he's running for the door?
And of course, I appreciate you giving him the benefit of the doubt and repeating the story that he came upon these shells. I will tell you the rest of the story, what I believe.
Okay.
He came upon the shells, he collected them, and then he made the numbers with them. Then he took the picture of it and posted it, and then when he started getting pushback, started thinking, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need to delete that, which he did eventually, but it was, once it's out of the, box, it's gone.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, I think what it is, when you've lived in a bubble and you've done everything bad and you didn't get caught, and you're not brought up for accountability, he probably thinks he's indispensable.
I think so.
And by the way, was he given
immunity? I don't know. That's a great question, because a whole bunch of people did, and he, you would think, be one of them, because he ran cover for the Dems. And the other thing too, talking about Dan Bongino, he said that he and Kash Patel are uncovering numerous items of bad decision making and policy implementation that were done by Comey, and now maybe some of that will see the light of day. Will we hear about some of these, or are they going to just try to fix them and move on?
Well, according to them, they said a wave of transparency is on the horizon.
Okay.
Now, what's the motive here? Is it political? I think what it is, you got the most powerful agency in America, law enforcement agency in America, that's lost credibility.
Absolutely, yes.
You have to restore credibility, or this agency is in trouble. There's even question, do we need an FBI when we have a DOJ? So, but I will say this, Patel knows his role as it relates to the DOJ, where I think Comey thought he was bigger than life. He just did what he wanted to do. So anyway, that's all coming out. All right, and of course over the weekend the president was really upset with the fact that nothing's going on with the war in Ukraine as the bloodshed continues, and he said, stop the bloodbath. And so he has reached out to President Putin. Apparently they're supposed to be on the phone today. They may have already been on the phone this morning. And they're going to try to set something up, but they have to get these three leaders together, President Trump, Zelensky, and Putin, sit down. For some reason, Putin and Zelensky cannot agree to anything. And the question is, what pressure can the most powerful country on earth put on this situation?
Big question.
We have dumped billions in there without accountability. Okay, that's problem number one. Problem number two is Ukraine didn't invade itself. Right. Putin invaded.
Yeah.
And I don't see where there's anything righteous about this, even though it has a lot of spiritual overtones to it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that killing innocent people somehow is spiritually justified.
Right, yeah.
As he's supposedly a solid member of the Orthodox Church.
Now, did you see a story or somewhere that the Vatican is talking about trying to get involved as a media?
The story over the weekend, of course, you know, Pope Leo was inaugurated officially on Sunday. Vice President Vance was there. Secretary Rubio was there, both Catholics. And they came to represent the United States. And in his inaugural address, he said that he's offering the Vatican as a peacemaking place where people can come together and work out their differences.
You know, it's a great idea on the surface, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think it's got some wide implications to it. Will they go there? I don't know.
Well, we know that Putin is Russian Orthodox in his faith, and that they're not really always on the same page, the Catholic Church and Russia or the Orthodox
No, but
Church.
they respect each other.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, there's this old saying that if you're in a town and there's only an Orthodox church, the Catholics could go there for Mass.
Oh.
And vice versa.
Oh, okay.
I think they kind of do this respectfully.
All right.
They've tried to get back together through the years, and there's always these rubs, you know. It's just human nature, men in power, all this stuff. So, but, you know, wouldn't it be really amazing if they could use the Vatican?
Oh, yeah.
St. Peter Basilica to go in there and sit down in that beautiful sitting and work something out.
Wonderful, yeah.
You know, could the Holy Spirit be in that room?
Why not?
Let's give it a shot.
Right.
Okay. Good stuff. Okay. All right. Let's see what's happening on Wall Street today. As we are we there? No. I'm sorry. I'm way ahead of myself. Yeah. See what happens, Jerry?
Let's get something to eat.
Would you slow down? Did you bring anything in?
No cake.
Okay.
No cake.
Okay. We'll be right back.
All right.
We'll go
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family-run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
The Dove is touching lives across our network and around the world.
Focus today was outstanding. I'm so proud and grateful that the Dove is willing to share these interviews. A huge thank you to Perry for his exceptional work getting prepared and asking very insightful questions. Well done, and thank you for sharing the truth.
Let us know if the Dove has touched your life. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative. Support the Dove at thedove.us.
Happy Monday. How you all doing out there? You know, we are almost at the end of May, and gosh, it's hard to believe we got Memorial Day coming up.
Yeah.
Graduations.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We're going to have Bill Gallagher in the house helping me with graduations. There ain't enough coffee in the world. We just ought to have the Gallagher blend.
Yes. Hey, there's an idea.
You know.
Yes.
The Gallagher blend or mix or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'll take him over to human being, or who else could we go to? Human being over here, or some other coffee roasters. Like Malolos or somebody.
Dutch Bros or
have them sit down and start putting it together as a blend.
Okay. Yeah.
I probably should talk to Jenny though. She probably have a better idea what it should be. Anyway, happy Monday to you. Well, this is really sad. The Mexican president, she has mourned the loss of their Navy ship and a couple of people that died, over 270 on board, when this historic, beautiful ship got out of control and got caught in the current and hit the iconic bridge there in New York, the Brooklyn Bridge, and took out the masts. And there were people all the way up on those masts standing. Some had to jump for their lives, hold on to lines. 2 people died. This is still under investigation. It is just an amazing thing to see happen. Yeah. Look at this. It just hits the bridge and it got caught in the current. It's going backwards.
Obviously, it was not under power. So obviously they lost power. It's going backwards with the current.
Yeah.
And it's very sad.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful ship.
Yeah.
A couple of people died, but it hit the Brooklyn Bridge. And can you imagine the cars on the bridge?
Yeah.
There's an aerial view.
Right.
We may see it here, but you can see the cars, and all of a sudden here are these 2 huge masses coming at it.
Yeah.
And hits the bridge. And
well, the Mexican president weighed in and actually said that they regret the politicization of this event.
Yeah.
And of course that was done by Chuck Schumer.
Yeah. Well, Chuck is trying.
Chuck went after Trump and Doge.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Doge's fault.
Yeah, well, of course.
It's sad.
Yeah. Well, thoughts and prayers there, because it's such a beautiful vessel. Gosh, just gorgeous. Anyway, all right. Well, speaking of bridges, back to our own West Coast here, the big bridge over I-5 over the Columbia River. They were going to put a toll on it. Well, that has now started a year later than planned. But drivers traveling between Washington and Oregon may pay a little more than originally forecast as a result. So we don't know what the toll is going to be. But they're going to build a new bridge, and the tolling in both directions on the existing bridge will be one of the first things that the public experiences once the construction of a replacement bridge begins underway. It is also a critical source of funding to help cover the cost of the project, so it does go towards it. The cost of the new bridge is expected to be between $5 and $7.5 billion. So anyway, there's the old bridge. There's a rendering of the new bridge. This has been very controversial. How are they going to handle it? I've been over that bridge. It does rattle and roll, but that's the way it was made. And so what do they do with the old bridge?
I don't know. They're going to drop it, I think. You know, it's going to be one of those things where we see the explosions go off and it drops into the river.
Really?
And then I don't know. But we've seen a lot of that. Yeah. That seems like a lot of bridge to drop into that river.
Say,
yeah.
What do you do with that?
I don't know. But I'm reading a little bit about that bridge.
Do you have a steel salvage company come out and start taking it apart?
Well, you know that those metals are worth money these days. Yeah. Did you realize that the present day northbound bridge there opened to traffic in 1917 as a single bridge carrying two-way traffic? And and then the southbound traffic version opened in 1958. So this thing is old.
Yeah.
It's about time, I would say.
Yeah, and it did go up and down so the ships can go through and all that. So the new one goes over the top of everything. So we'll see. But, man, there's a lot of steel to salvage there, and you wonder, somebody's got to get their eyeball on that.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to
the
see
concrete can go down. The pillars and stuff can go down. But they're supposed to build the new one right alongside it. So we'll see what happens.
Right, which means there's going to be some houses and things that get moved.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. What's that called again?
Progress.
Eminent domain. Progress. Okay, enough said.
All right. Speaking of progress, let's take a look at Wall Street now and see what's happening. Thank you, Preston. He has Smart Lawn. If you're smart, you'll call him and get this lawn because you don't have to water it, do anything to it. The Dow's off a little bit, down 68 points. The Nasdaq's off 143 and the S&P down 23. So a little red ink at the beginning of the bell this morning. Who knows what that is? In the meantime, that did push gold up to $32.31. Silver's back to $32.50, and crude oil's down. Look at that, $65.19. I want to see 59. We saw 59 about a month ago.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, this is interesting. I'd like to hear some of your commentary on the backside of this. But Senator John Kennedy questioned Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy as to whether he has fired air traffic controllers.
When you got to the department and became secretary, did you fire a bunch of air traffic controllers?
I did not, Senator.
Did Mr. Musk do that?
He did not.
Where'd all this stuff come from?
So there were about 350 probationary employees at the FAA that were let go, and we're trying to stream. By the way, there's 46,000 people that work at the FAA, so this was a minuscule percentage. But even air traffic controllers who were probationary employees were excluded. All safety positions were preserved at the FAA, including air traffic controllers. And so I think it's a narrative that some in media and in politics have tried to drive as if we're not focused on safety. But I have been crystal clear, and I think I've said this until my face is blue, though it's not today, but it could be because we did not actually fire any air traffic controllers, Senator. We've been hiring air traffic controllers as quickly as we can.
All right.
And so I don't know how many times I have to say it.
Let's say it one more time.
Yes.
When you became secretary, look me in the eye, did you fire any air traffic controllers?
I did not.
Okay.
And I did hire air traffic controllers.
Did Mr. Musk?
So by the way, Mr. Musk doesn't fire or hire anybody at the department. I do, and so no, he didn't fire anybody, including air traffic controllers.
Okay.
Well, it's a rumor that started out there, and primarily this was launched when DEI restrictions were being applied and that whole policy was being withdrawn. People automatically thought that when they were let go that, of course, the Dems run, oh, it's safety, it's health, it's all these things, okay? But the air traffic control thing, no, we are short air traffic controllers.
Yeah, I thought so.
And so, but if you have a bureaucracy running a handful of people, which is normally the case in government, he was thinning out the crowd below the air traffic controllers. But folks, we need them, and we need good ones, and we need people trained. In fact, I encourage young people to consider going to Oklahoma City and going to the air traffic control college and getting involved in this. First of all, working in a tower is a hoot. But it is a big, big responsibility. And if you're in an ATC center, it's even more responsibility. So anyway, I'm glad he made it clear.
But yeah, and isn't it interesting on how these little rumors and innuendos take off? Because obviously Doge is the big enemy right now of the left. And then when Doge does something like this, they put their spin on it, and then unfortunately it gets picked up by a news organization. The talking heads on their side of the media, they talk about it, and then it says it's been reported on NBC that Doge has fired XYZ traffic controllers, and all of a sudden, because it was reported on ABC or NBC, all of a sudden it's supposed to have some legitimacy, and it is still just a rumor out of control.
Okay, well, we could talk for a week on this, but let me just highlight this. Within organizations, there are groups of people whose job is to promote the company on social media. So it's highly likely that NBC has one of their own staff members posting on there that according to NBC, yada, 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 making NBC the authority.
Right.
You got to remember that the news organizations aren't an authority on anything other than gossip. And so you got to be very, very careful there. Every once in a while they do a good story. Every once in a while they do have a good report. But when you take the headlines of the day, do what I do. I look at about 23 different sites every morning before I go on the air, and I'm comparing stories. I'd rather have a root canal than do this, but it's part of my job. So you go through there, and you cannot believe the same story can have 23 different views.
Yes, if it's been reported on at all by some. Some stories are just buried.
Oh, that's the other point, how they rank them, what's important and what's not. So anyway, so much for all that nonsense. This is when you really do like devil cake. We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Romans 1:20 tells us God's power is revealed in creation. Yet 2 Corinthians 4:4 reminds us that Satan has blinded many to the gospel. At the Life Outdoors, we've seen the truth of God, His eternal power and divine nature displayed in every mountain and stream. Follow along and let's wake the wild within. The mountains don't lie. Where there's truth, there's Jesus.
Welcome back. Happy Monday to you. 26 minutes before the hour. Well, the Middle East. Wow. We got a lot going on over here and a lot going over there, and the president's going to meet with Putin. We already have talked to him on the phone. We just haven't heard yet. And then there's the Middle East, which is still unresolved and got a lot of problems over there. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up.
This is CBN Newswatch.
It is Monday, May 19th. We're going to begin this day in the Middle East, where the Israeli Defense Forces have ordered civilians to evacuate the second largest city in Gaza, Khan Yunis, warning them it will be considered a combat zone. That move comes as Israel is launching its major offensive against Hamas. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story now. He's reporting from Jerusalem.
On Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced the new military campaign.
As we promised, we have launched a powerful campaign against Hamas, Gideon's chariots. IDF forces are simply entering with force into the Gaza Strip with the dual goal, defeating Hamas and freeing our hostages.
While the air and ground operation begins, Israel announced it's also pursuing every opportunity to reach an agreement to release all of the hostages. One deal under consideration by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff would include a temporary ceasefire, release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, then followed by more negotiations to end the war. Netanyahu also announced that humanitarian aid is beginning to flow again into Gaza, with renewed efforts to make sure Hamas doesn't steal it. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz says he believes Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar was killed in an Israeli bombing last week. Mohammed was the younger brother of former Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, mastermind of the October 7th attack. In another development, IDF International spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani posted on X exclusive intelligence revealing a so-called Hamas media platoon, including journalists that took part in October 7th. Back from his Middle East trip, President Trump again rejected concerns of a growing rift between him and Netanyahu. He told Fox News that Netanyahu is angry and has every right to be so after the brutal atrocities Hamas committed in Israel on October 7th.
You got to remember, October 7th was one of the worst days in the history of the world, I think, not just local to this region. It was one of the worst, most atrocious attacks anyone's ever seen.
Joins us now from Israel with more. So, Chris, how powerful is this Israeli military operation, Gideon's Chariot? Is the goal to control all of Gaza?
Well, it looks like it's the most powerful operation so far since October 7th, Ephraim. 3 divisions, boots on the ground. Already, there's been hundreds of airstrikes, and as you heard in your intro, the Khan Yunis is being asked that all the residents would be asked to leave, that it's going to be a combat zone. The goal is to control all of Gaza, and they call it clear and control. In other words, once they take over a particular area, they will control that. What they did up till now was many times they took control of an area, but they withdrew. Many times Hamas would go re-enter that area. So sometimes they would have to conquer areas maybe 2 and 3 times. The idea is to squeeze Hamas and give them less and less area that they control, and then that would pressure the release of all the hostages. Mohammed Sinwar's death, which is not technically official right now, would make a big deal because many believe Hamas may be more willing to compromise, because he seemed to be very intransigent during the negotiations. And just to add from that, really now most of Hamas's leadership are gone since October 7th.
Chris, what can you tell us about this ceasefire proposal for a 2-month truce and some hostage releases?
Well, as we said in part of the report, it would be maybe a 2-month ceasefire in exchange for 9 to 10 alive hostages, as well as release of some Palestinian prisoners. Hamas is denying this report. What they want to do, Ephraim, is they want to release all of the hostages in exchange for an end of the war. And that's what they've been wanting for all along, is that there would be end of the war. IDF would completely get out of Gaza. That would leave them in power, and that's something that the Netanyahu government does not want to let happen. That was one of the goals of the war, was to make sure that Hamas was defeated and could not control Gaza. Right now, there's 58 hostages remaining. Ephraim, I was up in Haifa over the weekend. You know, anywhere you go in Israel, you're reminded of who are the hostages. There's billboards, there's banners on sidewalks, and so it's just been such a heartache for this country since October 7th.
Well, there you go. We'll keep an eye on it. Apparently, Iran is extending some indication to the United States that they want to talk. Mm-hmm. The question is, can that be believed? Is this further delay?
Yeah, I was going to say, is it just a delay tactic, do you think?
I think where we are now, we know that for the most part, both the United States and Israel said no to a nuke. Mm-hmm. The question is, there's no it's come down to this.
Winds today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, rainy and breezy with daytime high temperatures in the mid-60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, showers and breezy in mid-60s for Salem and Albany. Showers mainly in the morning for Corvallis with a high near 63 and Eugene near 62 with lows tonight in the mid-40s. A chance of showers, then clearing and breezy across the central Oregon high desert with daytime highs near 66 in Prineville, 61 in Bend, and 58 in Sun River. Over at Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high in the upper 60s. Along the Oregon coast, showers with a high near 60 in Coos Bay, near 57 in Port Orford, and near 53 in Brookings. In Crescent City, California, a slight chance of rain and patchy fog in upper 50s. In southern Oregon, a slight chance of showers in the Rogue Valley, then becoming sunny and low to mid-70s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 60s. Into northern California with sunny skies and daytime highs in the mid-70s around Wairika. Continuing to warm up as we move south with high temperatures near 87 in Redding and 90 for Chico and Sacramento. In the Bay Area, sunny skies for Santa Rosa and Napa with daytime highs in the mid-80s. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 73 and a west wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 83. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
Hi, look at this.
Hey!
Huh?
That's Mount Ashland.
That is.
Sorta.
Yeah.
Raining up there.
Yeah, it is coming down. You can't see anything. The lens is totally full of water.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Woo! All right. Well, you know, It's interesting because I remember the days when you'd get all excited. They'd even parade through town. They'd bring the animals. They'd, the rush and the excitement. The circus is in town.
Yeah.
Well, it was on this day in history that what would eventually become to be known as the greatest show on earth got its start.
On May 18, 1884, 5 determined brothers, Alfred, Al, Charles, John, and Otto Ringling, pitched a humble tent in Baraboo, Wisconsin. With a borrowed horse, a few juggling pins, and boundless ambition, they called it the Yankee Robinson and Ringling Brothers Circus. Townsfolk gathered, captivated by acrobats, music, and the thrill of something new. As the years rolled by, the brothers dreamed bigger. They added trains, tigers, and tightropes, traveling town to town, dazzling America. By 1907, they merged with their biggest rival, Barnum and Bailey, creating the greatest show on earth. Under one colossal tent, elephants marched, trapeze artists soared, and magic filled the air. What began as a small-town spectacle grew into the most famous circus in the world, a celebration of wonder that echoed across generations, continuing for 133 years.
Until the year 2017, and then under pressure from animal rights groups, they closed down and sent them all home. But 6 years later, it has reemerged. But now it's more like a Cirque du Soleil. You know, it's like acrobats and stuff like that. No more animals.
So was there really a three-headed cow? Remember they had the little booth?
Yes.
You had to pay a little extra to go in and see
in the side booths. Yeah, they had side shows, right?
And then they had the bearded woman.
The bearded lady.
Remember
yes.
that?
Yes.
Were those real?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I was a kid. I didn't go to those things. I went into the three-ring circus, which was amazing, you know?
Yeah,
You remember going to the circus, don't you?
Yeah, I live in one.
Yeah.
I work at one.
Okay.
There's 3 rings around here, and one there, here, and over there. All right, good stuff. Well, listen, back to a more serious note. We love Samaritan's Purse and their quick mobilization and response after the 7.7 earthquake in Burma. And here's a little bit of an update.
Dear Heavenly Father, there's just some really heavy situations here. A lot of suffering, a lot of physical need, there's a lot of injuries and pain.
Samaritan's Purse is in Naypyidaw, Myanmar, and we're here because a massive earthquake struck. As soon as that happened, the Samaritan's Purse disaster teams immediately mobilized. We were able to bring in 6 of our fresh spring systems to be able to get water going into communities. They can provide drinking water for over 10,000 people in a community in a day. Across central Myanmar, people, they've had to seek refuge. They need shelter items. We have a basic kit so that you're not exposed to the elements. Tarps, we've got blankets, and we've got solar lanterns as well. During the earthquake, many people were injured. Lots of broken bones, buildings collapsing on top of families. People who were trapped in the rubble, they needed surgeries. So right away, we started with our mobile surgical team. That's our quick action ability to be able to start doing those surgeries. And then immediately we were setting up the field hospital at the same time.
Makes me feel honored to be here after an earthquake, that they would trust us with their stories and their bodies and their lives. That's just an awesome opportunity to share Jesus with these people and let them know that they're not alone.
The earthquake caused incredible devastation across central Myanmar, and it's going to take a long time to recover. Our hope is that we can meet these immediate needs right now and be there for them. As Christians, loving them in this moment is incredible.
Well, I just asking Jerry, someday I'd like to interview, I know Frank LeGraham, he's been here in our building here, but whether we could talk to him or his #1 guy at Samaritan's Purse, this is an amazing organization that wherever there is a human disaster in the world, natural disaster that impacts human beings, they're there.
Yeah.
And they seem to be everywhere. And I'd like to know, how this organization does it. And it's done with donations.
Right. Yeah.
And the only thing I can say, if you want to give to an organization that gets things done, it's like $1 in and $20 out.
Yeah.
It's the loaves and the fishes sort of thing. This organization, they have airplanes, they have hospitals, they have doctors, they have people who have gone through the seasons of life, come back and serve in this capacity. It is an amazing organization. If you're looking for something to do, they're always looking for volunteers. And here's the thing, they'll take you and train you. So check it out. Don't get me wrong, I could go off on this all day long. I'm pretty high on the organization.
Well, and rightly so.
Okay, here's the question while we take a break. Can you define freedom? We'll talk about it when we come back.
Life has many challenges. When you need answers, theDove.us is here with encouragement, videos, news, and information to restore, renew, and point you to what matters most. Turn to theDove.us, encouraging and informative.
In the heart of the Rogue Valley, RVTD connects us all, not just through miles traveled, but also through time. 50 years ago, public transportation laid the foundation for growth in Southern Oregon. These early buses didn't just carry passengers, they carried progress, connecting communities and fueling dreams. Today, RVTD moves with the pulse of the Rogue Valley. More than just a bus ride, it's a lifeline for workers, students, and families, ensuring access for all to jobs, schools, and essential services. With renewable technologies and more convenient ways to get around, RVTD's building a future that keeps our region connected. Public transportation isn't just about getting from here to there. It's about the journey. Join RVTD as they build on their legacy of sustainability, innovation, and community. Rogue Valley Transportation District, celebrating 50 years of moving our community forward.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
700 Club is always present during crisis.
When people need medical care, their needs are going to be met by CBN.
I was seeing the impact it was making on the people. It just really moved my heart with compassion.
When you're blessed, you're supposed to bless others.
We were really interested in what 700 Club was doing, and it touched our heart.
Watch the 700 Club Monday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
All right, welcome back. I asked the question rhetorically. Now we'll get it answered. What is freedom? Do you know what freedom really is? And the concept of freedom and how it plays into the birth of the United States is very biblical. Very biblical, what freedom, the true meaning of freedom really is. Well, who could explain it better than the late Rush Limbaugh?
You ever wonder how it is and why it became so that a population at any one time of less than 300 million people created the highest standard of living, progress, economic, political, education, any standard you want to measure, the United States of America has been the greatest population of human beings in the history of the world. Well, what is it about this 200, 300 million people that are created by far? There's no comparison. The greatest collection of human beings on the face of the earth for good. This is part and parcel of what I call American exceptionalism. What is American exceptionalism? It's not that we're better people. It's not that we're smarter. It's not that we have an advantage because of our geography, because we clearly don't. So what is it that sets us apart? And there's one answer. And it's found in the Declaration of Independence. We are all endowed by our Creator. So we acknowledge God as a country. When we were founded, we acknowledge God. We were all created. We are all endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Undeniable, they're just there. And they come from the Creator. Among them, but not just, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That's pretty simple to me. Those three things, the acknowledgement of our creation by God, a loving God, that our creation, that our spirit has this natural yearning to be free and to be happy, and that there's nothing wrong with either of those. There's nothing wrong with being created, nothing wrong with being happy or trying to be, and there's certainly nothing wrong with living. It was that codification that made one crucial thing possible, and that is for ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. Not the smartest, not the brightest, not the well-born, not the richest. Ordinary. This is a nation that became the greatest nation in human history, however many hundreds of thousands, billions, whatever years you want to say we've been plodding the earth. Ordinary people accomplishing extraordinary things made possible by the fact that our country was founded acknowledging that our freedom comes from God, not from a government, and not from some other man or some other woman. It does not come from a demagogue. It does not come from somebody promising to take care of us. It inspired people to produce, to take care of themselves and anybody else that needed it in their community via their church or whatever neighborhood organization they happen to belong to. And that's what's been lost.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, if I was president and I was giving the State of the Union address,
yeah,
I think in the chamber we should have some great big LED walls. Let's bring the chamber up to modern times.
Okay. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And at the end of my State of the Union address, or at the beginning of my State of the Union address, I'd play that clip.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let the whole nation see it.
Right. Great idea.
Okay. And the essence of the speech would be, all right, it's time to bring government under control. It's we the people, not government. Mm-hmm. And we the people have certain unalienable rights that were given to us by God. They're so obvious they're by God, and we need to respect that and put that. And then I would turn the camera and say, look above me, 12 feet.
Amen.
And it says right up there, you know, okay, one nation under God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Perfect.
But I'm not, and it won't happen.
You got my vote. There's a bunch of others here.
All right, I got some great guests coming up, so stick around for that.
All right. Well, I have another rescue story, and one of the central characters is a shark, but it's not a rescue story from a shark. It's a rescue story of the shark.
Without hesitation, a woman rescued a shark tangled up in fishing rope using her bare hands. Charity Clark was paddleboarding with her friends off the coast of Florida when they noticed a crab trap buoy behaving unusually before spotting the white outline of a shark. The shark was upside down and motionless in the water, with its body tightly wrapped from tail to mouth in the thick line, so Charity jumped into action. She gently lifted the shark and began untangling yards of rope from its body. The 43-year-old photographer said, "It was just instinct. I didn't even think twice. I saw this animal in distress and I just knew I had to help." Charity believes the shark was in a catatonic state, a natural trance-like condition that makes the animal temporarily immobile, a state that allowed her to work on the rope unhindered. She said she wasn't scared, but she let out a loud scream when the shark suddenly came to life, starting to wrestle with the rope. She added they were so relieved when it started moving, and they were all smiles watching it swim away.
Wow.
Yeah, it would be a little startling if you're unwrapping a shark and it wakes up.
So what's it called, that state?
Catatonic.
Okay, now, I know you can do that to frogs.
How do you do it?
Well, I think you turn them over and you rub them.
Well,
no, seriously.
Pam is right now, she's saying, yeah, Jerry does that. I can make him catatonic. Oh, thanks a lot.
I can rub my dog's belly and it kind of does that, you know.
Yeah, I hate it when my leg starts doing
it. But isn't that part of the possums being a possum?
I think so. Yeah, it's playing possum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't they just kind of lay down and act like they're dead?
Yes. Yeah, until they don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, take that with you. Take Psalm 32, verse 8 with you today. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. What an amazing promise today. So lean on him and let him instruct you on the way to go. Enjoy that rain at Mount Ashland.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? When you want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life, call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Transformed is a groundbreaking series that every week takes you behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people facing real issues. Watch Mondays and Thursdays only on theDove TV. Experience evangelism like never before.
It's not about finding ourselves. It's not about being true to ourselves. It's about being born again.
Way of the Master's dynamic co-host team delivers captivating witnessing encounters.
That makes you feel uncomfortable because you're doing things you know you shouldn't. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Bold street witnessing that will leave you inspired and equipped to share your faith. Watch Way of the Master Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 5 on theDove TV. You're watching theDove TV, encouraging and informative for Boise and the Treasure Valley. Seen on KTVJ3 and these Dove TV affiliates.
Recognize what this is all about. I'm very honored to have with us today Ryan McDermott. He's the author of Downriver, a memoir of a warrior poet. He's an executive in the aerospace and defense industry and a former senior Pentagon official, a U.S. Army veteran. He served in 2000 to 2006 and leading the platoon into combat with the 3rd Infantry Division during 2003 invasion into Iraq. He's a recipient of a Bronze Star and they earned the Ranger Tab and Combat Infantryman badge as well. There's a picture of the cover of the book, Downriver, and the website is downrivermemoir.com, and there's the picture of that website as well. Ryan, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Very. Thank you for having me on today. I'm doing great.
You bet. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're heading into Memorial Day, and this is an amazing time. How do you view this as a veteran with the experience that you have?
Well, it's the experience, but also the relationships that I have, and the Memorial Day is about those who've gone before and sacrificed for our country, who've fallen. We remember their service. For me, every Memorial Day is a day of pride because of the people I've known and also generations before. There's some folks in my book, Downriver, that I mention. One is Captain Travis Patriquin. There's also Minsu Choi and Landon Giles as well. And these are all men who served for their country and died in combat. And so for me, there's a mix of emotions, but a lot of pride as I head into Memorial Day weekend.
How do you balance that in your heart? I mean, you served and you lost, and yet you protected. I mean, this is, I don't know how you manage your emotions.
Well, in some cases, I think it's important not to manage them and to let them out, and if it's necessary, to cry or whatever emotions. I think there's a spiritual aspect of this. If you have strong faith, I think there's a piece of all those emotions that tie in that sort of bring it together, and that gives a sort of peace of mind. But yeah, I would say that in a big way, there are times where you lose that emotion, especially when, can't do it every year, but I like to go to Arlington Cemetery, and I go to the Iraq War section, and inevitably you run into family members who are by the graves of the fallen, of their soldiers, they're very proud of their service, and so it's a range of emotions.
As a graduate from West Point, I see where the president's going to speak there this weekend. How do you view that?
He's the president of the United States. I think it's a great honor for the graduates of the United States Military Academy to have the president of the United States address them. He's the commander in chief. So it's a great honor, and I think they usually have a whole host of speakers who lead up to his address, and so it's as a parent, my son is graduating this weekend. He's in the class of 2025. He's going to be commissioning right afterwards. So we've been talking to him about he's going to get to shake the president's hand and get the photo opportunity, and so there's an enormous sense of pride in that aspect that they're graduating, and the president of the United States is going to be the one shaking their hand at the top of the podium.
Congratulations, Dad. I didn't know that. So
yeah,
you went to West Point. Your son's going to West Point. Do you have any idea where he'll be deployed yet?
I don't. So he's going to be commissioned, and he's commissioning as an armor officer, and so he's which is a point of pride because I was infantry, but I took an armored. I had 2 armored tanks and 2 Bradley vehicles when I went to war in 2003. And so I kind of had charge of over tanks. So he'll be a tank platoon leader, and he'll be stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, with the 1st Armored Division after completing the basic course.
Wow. So in riding downriver, what led you to come to a point where you wanted to write a book about it?
Well, Perry, I downriver began actually in the aftermath of going back to my high school. It started from writings of catharsis of different challenges I've been. So it was meant for me, and so it started in the aftermath. When I was in high school, my parents divorced. We lost our house. It went into foreclosure. Eventually, my mother ended up spending time in a women's shelter for a period of time while I was at West Point. There was a very generous Catholic family that brought me in to their home and showed me love through those final months of my senior year of high school. This is all covered in Downriver, and it really embraced me. But when I got to West Point, I still had a lot to process in terms of what had just happened, losing our home, seeing everything happen. And then throughout my life, I've kind of, through the war, after the war, I got back from Iraq, I began writing for catharsis. The idea of maybe publishing a book, but not really understanding the arc. And then, obviously, another part of the book is about the collapse of Lehman Brothers. And so after that, I wrote about it. And then, so I left that on the table for Downriver. It had many titles over the years, many titles of working. And I got to this realization that it didn't have a really good ending, and that I just need to live out the journey. And that really was my children were really the purpose. And so it came into the end. I realized I needed to wait. I wanted to wait until they were full adults before releasing. And my daughter is 18, so she's graduating high school next year. But I wanted to put this out to honor those who fought, who served in the global war on terror. There's a real, I see veterans committing suicide, and I went through some dark times, and that's behind me, and I've grown from the experience. So this is a growth. It's an optimistic. It's a very hopeful message by the ending of the book, and I don't want to spoil everything, but this is a very sort of pro-growth, very optimistic ending, I think. But I wanted to put something out there to show some vulnerability, to show anybody. It doesn't have to be a veteran. Anybody that's going through a dark time, that they're not alone. If they need to seek counseling or therapy, I talk about that in the book. That to destigmatize that it's a very healthy thing to do.
Wow. Would you describe that you dealt with PTSD?
Oh yes, yeah. I for years I sort of was living out all the symptoms. So it starts, without, the Ranger, the sort of infantry mindset is, you can be too tough for that type of vulnerability, and in some regards, that is exactly the type of mentality that can sort of just exacerbate it. And so when I got back from Iraq, it started out with the alertness of like the vehicle, just very hyper vigilant, nightmares. There's some of that in there of showing that it's part of the experience. And so yeah, I do, but it doesn't mean that I think the point, there's a lot of people who in our country and the world that deal with some sort of form of level of PTSD. There is a way to grow out of it and to sort of view an optimistic side of it.
As you transition through that, the term we hear a lot today is mental health. How would you describe that?
I think mental health, for me, I think mental health comes from a lot. It's like the sort of, the pie chart of everything. It's spiritual health. It's mental, there's your physical health, and you have to maintain all of those things together to maintain a strong mental health. Mental health can be affected by diet. It can be affected by sleep, routine, and all those things. But also, I think a big part of it is relationships and maintaining and growing, sort of growing a community of relationships.
How would you describe your faith through all of that?
My faith, there's a part of that, and I don't know if I may read. Would you mind me reading an excerpt at the end?
No, go ahead.
So, I have to say that. So, I'll get to the excerpt, but when I was brought in by the family, really found a foundation of my faith. One, to see how just the feeling of internally how it made me feel, be a part of a family of faith. And I admit I've lost my way, and that's part of this journey. Is coming back to it, and so there's some poetry in here, but I wanted to read one thing is from my son's afterword, and this is what he says. My father lost, and this. So my son wrote an afterword after reading the whole book, and this book has been sort of done for several years and just waiting for the right time. But he said this, he said, my father lost his way and shame undermined his relationship with God, but he never lost his faith. His story provides an invaluable lesson. What matters is not the path we've taken, but whether we find our way to the river crossing home and still have the courage to venture over when we see it there. And so, and I have to admit, to see my son and my children, all three of them, really great children. So William, Julia, and Brandon. But to really see my son Brandon grow in his faith in a way helped really just re-solidify my own and really help me kind of get to that place. Yeah.
That's absolutely beautiful. The essence of the book, what do you want people to take away from the book?
Well, that's a great question. And, I think everyone's going to take a little bit something different, because it's like I don't tell people, the book doesn't tell you what to think. It's like a Rorschach test where you'll look at it, you'll read it, and experience it in your own way. The one thing I hope that people take away from it is reflecting on their own life, potentially, and their own relationships. Maybe there's somebody in your life that is like me, like I was, that could use a sort of an outreach or helping hand, and to see how profound that impact has had. Because there were people that helped me that if not for them, and I try to list them all out in the book, I wouldn't be here today. Brandon wouldn't be graduating from West Point. My son wouldn't be at University of Central Florida. Our family would not be in as good of a shape as it is today. So I think those are things, reflecting on their own life, and then also just thinking how within their own community, how folks can be helpful to others.
Oh, beautiful. The book is called Downriver, Memoir of a Warrior Post, and the website is downrivermemoir.com. There's a picture of the cover of the book, or the book and the website. Can they get it at the website and online?
Well, I think right now the best place is Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
And Bookshop as well. And so the website that I have has links to those various places. So buy it on Amazon. Or it's a good, easy place to get it. I'm trying to drive the sales there.
Ryan, thank you for your openness and transparency. I want to have you back because I'd like to talk to you further about transitioning from military life to civilian life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I understand it's certainly easier said than done, and you add PTSD to that and mental health issues to that and faith challenges to that. It can't be an easy transition.
It can't. I think the big thing is getting over that hump to understand that it is a transition. And I think that that's one of the biggest failures I had coming out relatively early. The military got better at doing this, I think, and the VA did. But I think a big challenge folks in the military should have is to recognize there is a transition.
Right.
There are things that they need to address and just be prepared for it.
Thank you, friend. Downriver's the book. His website is downrivermemoir.com. Check it out. Barnes & Noble online. Ryan McDermott, thank you, friend. God bless you, and thank you again for your service.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Our goal at the Dove is to glorify God and help our audience connect more closely with Him. Something else we do here at the Dove is help connect our audience with reliable businesses and vice versa. Some call it advertising. Here at the Dove, we call it outreach. Connecting businesses with people they can help and our audience with reliable businesses for the help they need. If you would like to reach out to our audience with your business or service, give us a call, 541-776-5368.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
They travel across America to give an answer for questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
The Gospels are historically reliable.
Their mission, present truth, faith, and help people find purpose.
Not based on blind faith.
Join them as they strive to make a lasting impact on lives and hearts for Christ.
They're either all wrong or one of them's right. I got to go to the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Don't miss Give Me an Answer, weekdays at 3 on the Dove TV.
Welcome back. It's hard to believe that we're coming up on 5 years of the anniversary date of the George Floyd death that really rocked this country to the core. Honored to have with us today Miriam Hinane. She is the author of Operation George Floyd. She's an investigative journalist and filmmaker, best known for the directing of the award-winning 2010 documentary Vanishing of the Bees. She's also a functional medicine coach and consultant. But there's a picture of the book on the screen there, Operation George Floyd, and she does have a website, Miriam Hinane. It's spelled Miriam, HENEIN.com. Miriam, good to see you. How are you today?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Boy, this is a biggie. What led you to take this on, the George Floyd death?
I believe that I was chosen to record this for the future. We're witnessing truth in the Ministry of Truth rewriting our history. And I've spent 5 years kind of accidentally. I was in Costa Rica during the pandemic, knowing that this was in the works, having covered vaccines since 2012. And I was with Zach Voorhees, the Google whistleblower. And the day of the event, he asked me to choke him. And I said, what? And he said, I'm doing the George Floyd challenge. And I was literally the first person to call the medical examiner, and I was told it would take weeks and weeks. And then the day after, I saw CNN issue preliminary report on the autopsy, and I just didn't tap out. I didn't intend to discover and put my life at risk for pretty much this book will be ready in maybe 50 years. It's a little too dangerous at the moment.
Wow. So how would you describe his death?
I would describe it as a series of lemony snickets. I do not believe that Derek Chauvin is responsible for the death of George Floyd. You'd have to look at the real identities of both of them. And this is a multi-layered psychological operation, so it served many different layers.
Why is there such a pushback on accepting anything else but the mishandling of a police officer?
Because the intention is to change legislation. We must all remember that we went from virus to violence overnight, and that there's so much hiding underneath the surface that it would be, they want to keep the narrative. We had the whole Summer of Love, and arguably we might have a Summer of Love sequel. So I just wanted to clear up that it's multi-layered. This event served a lot of different purposes, from a color revolution to a duty to intervene exercise to making Americans believe that we're now facing systemic racism.
Do you think the evidence proving your point will ever be public?
Well, it's come out after the fact in little dribbles, which is what psychological operations bank on. A new episode. Yes, it's going to come to light. Maybe it's not as deep as what I've unearthed. That might never come to light unless someone actually reads the book. It's a colossal book, and it took 5 years. There's no amount of money that could ever do service for what I've risked as a censored journalist for the beats that I have covered, which includes vaccines and transhumanism and George Floyd.
Do you think there'll ever be a pardon of the police officers?
Yes, I believe that's part of the plan. And Alexander Kang and Thomas Lane are already out, and Tu Tao and Derek Chauvin. I covered the trial every single day of Derek Chauvin for Activist Post, and anyone who was actually paying attention would have thought that Derek was winning, but it was so maligned on so many different levels.
Okay, boy, this is, like you said, multi-layered. Is it possible for a retrial?
Well, it already went to Supreme and it was rejected. I believe that there'll just be a movement to pardon Derek because half of the country has no idea the actual details. People don't even know that George Floyd was with Maurice Lester Hall and a woman, and that Maurice is in jail. And I wonder about his Black life. Only some Black lives matter.
So, I'm just trying to figure out how this got off track so fast. I mean, was it, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful or political, but it seemed like that it was the ideal crime to prove another point.
What do you mean by that?
Well, look at the fallout from the George Floyd death. Look what it caused in America. I mean,
that was part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the plan, to destroy the country, rewrite our history, go from virus to violence overnight, and even I'll go as far as to get more vaccines into the arms of the number one vaccine hesitant population, Black community. By using messaging from Black Lives Matter, NIH used messaging from Black Lives Matter to instill confidence in the Black community.
Do you think that's calmed down at all?
What exactly?
Okay, so where does it leave us?
Well, let's see what's right around the corner. Where does it leave us? Let's see what happens with Derek. And I will say to you and your audience, does anyone still know the story behind Derek Chauvin's shanking? Why is Miriam Hinane, that's me, the B lady, the only one that's speaking to the FBI informant gone rogue and Mexican cartel leader? Because journalism in this country is dead. I'm arguably one of the best journalists in this entire nation, and I've been censored. I've lost Venmo, Vimeo, PayPal, GoFundMe, Instacart, Amazon. I've been smeared on television. The government has come after me. That's how dangerous the truth is today.
Okay, but there's a change now in that. In fact, over the weekend, Kash Patel announced that the FBI will be going through a season of unbelievable transparency and openness and unveiling these types of things that you're talking about. Does that give you hope?
Yes, this is next 4 years is a golden age, and there'll be little disclosures here and there, and people have an opportunity to know the truth, 100% truth, and nothing but the truth. However, as far as this book goes, I still think there's it's a little bit too dangerous if someone actually reads ties to Podesta, hush money, money laundering, and so forth, and there's only X amount in circulation. Why is that? This could easily be a bestseller. Even though it's huge and I don't know who reads anymore, there are people who actually prize the truth.
So, what do you want people to take from this book?
They can understand how false flags and psychological operations work. It's kind of outlining a blueprint, and that the emphasis on believing your eyes is a optical illusion by the media. So they can learn how much is left on the cutting room floor. Mm-hmm. And it's also for the future. It's a record because we have witnessed many events where the truth is being rewritten and we are gaslit as a people.
Have you seen, post George Floyd, have you seen other incidences that kind of track the same thing that you tracked with George Floyd?
There's a lot of different, I'm not going to go into specifics because I've pretty much resigned as a journalist. I've reached the glass ceiling. I used to be in the mainstream. I did direct the #1 movie in this country. And so it's a blueprint. So by reading this, you could see how the characteristics have been applied on other events that are there to manipulate the masses and divide the people.
Okay. All right. So where can they get the book?
So you can buzz on over to Miriam Hinane. So it's MARYAM as in Mary, HEN as in Nancy, EIN as in Nancy, .com/George Floyd book. And this is also the documentary. I did buy all the footage from the United States government. And this is also being suppressed. It's an hour long. So this looks at the events from 7:30 to 9:30. And my book looks at all the other characters and looks at the event from a very deep perspective.
Okay. Miriam, thank you for your time again. Miriam, HENEIN.com. That's the website where you can get the book and the information that she's sharing with us. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Disasters happen, and Oregon faces a range of disaster threats, including earthquakes, floods, and storms. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be disaster ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Are you looking to find loyal, reliable customers to grow your business? The Dove is a perfect place to start.
The people you want are watching and listening to the Dove right now.
Hello, I'm Nancy Worth, Vice President of Marketing and Sales here at the Dove.
And I'm Perry Atkinson. You know, the Dove offers your business a loyal and faithful audience, a safe, positive TV, radio, and digital platform to be associated with.
The Dove, reaching over 6 million consumers on a daily basis.
Our faithful and reliable audience will appreciate and remember your partnership.
Find new, loyal customers through the Dove audience today.
Partner with the Dove and watch your business flourish.
Sound good? Contact me, Nancy Worth. To see how your business would benefit from family-friendly, faith-based programming, call me today at 541-776-5368 or go to thedove.us or email me at nancy@thedove.us.
All right, welcome back. It's always a joy and an honor and a surprise when we have Bill Gallagher in the house with us. Bill is an interesting guy. He's he's a counselor, pastoral counselor. He heads up TeamWorks, which is an amazing organization that comes into your organizations and helps you with staff issues, good, bad, and indifferent, challenging.
Yes, sir.
TeamWorks-Works.com is the website. There's a picture of the landing page. By the way, if you sign up, every once in a while you get these little emails that are pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, how you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I don't think we had. Are we losing them? Are we losing them? Do we have them?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, we had some audio.
Feels good to be on, Perry. It feels good to be on.
It's always interesting to have you. Okay, so here we are in a season of graduation. This is interesting. We experienced this weekend before last. We went to one of our grandchildren, our grandson's graduation from college. Our granddaughter graduates in a couple of weeks. It's now we're the grandparents, so we're not the parents, but we're the grandparents. It's it just kind of puts your brain on tilt.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. I mean, we're supposed to raise them to release them.
Yeah.
Right. That's God's divine providential plan.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
Our goal is to raise them and release them as parents. And but it's a little bittersweet because we are having to recalibrate our entire past 18 years or so.
Right.
Because now they're graduating or going off, or maybe they're working a full-time job and moving out. And so it is a season of change.
Okay.
Which is uncomfortable for most people, even if it's a good change.
All right. So what do you do to the helicopter parent that won't let go? You ground them?
Well, I think that the helicopter parent, especially if they're believers, they must understand that this is part of God's plan. And they need, more than anything else, they need to trust the Lord.
Okay.
With their son, their daughter's life and future. No matter which direction they take, and frequently they take different directions that we would recommend as Christian parents, we still must trust the Lord's work in their life and the work He's called us to do prior to them leaving. Trust is a big issue. So what I would say to a helicopter parent is you need to dive deeper and ask the Holy Spirit to help you to trust the Lord's and take your hands off.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done, but it's still the right answer. It's still the right purpose.
Okay.
And that takes time. Obviously, that would take time, I think, Perry.
Okay.
To let go. Let go.
So then comes the empty nest syndrome.
Yeah, then there's the empty nest syndrome. That's another whole different syndrome.
Okay. But it's happening. I mean, now it's happening.
Yes. A lot to talk about there.
Do you think we misunderstand high school graduations? And let me qualify that.
Okay.
We think they have reached the age of adulthood, maturity, and they're ready to take on life.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where that idea came from.
Well, it's
generally not reality. Generally not reality, because.
But a lot of people say you're done now with school. Go on with your life.
Yeah. No, it doesn't necessarily.
Because we don't see the push for higher education anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not complaining one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's just that there's more to learn. I mean, high school, you're still 18 years old here.
Yeah, that's right. Well, one of the very, very happy experiences I've had is that. Well, what happens, it's kind of like a relay race. You know, you run a relay race, and then when you're done with your segment of that 4-part race, you pass the baton.
Mm-hmm.
So we pass the baton now, in many, many ways, to our adult child that is leaving the home. And we can't run the race for them anymore. Mm-hmm. It's their race. It's not our race. So, but the happy reality that I've come to is that my two oldest kids, my immediate oversight authority of my now adult kids is gone. And now my role has shifted to mentor, friend, advisor. And it has been wonderful to have my son, who's very successful in life, call me and ask me a question about insurance. Mm-hmm. Or what should he do in this situation? Or what do I recommend about that? Same with my daughter. Many, many calls. Dad, what do you think? And it is just a fulfilling experience. And that's part of them not completely being ready, but learning. And I get a chance to participate in that. I love it.
Do we prepare our graduates to understand? Again, I don't know if it's high school or college or somewhere in between there, that they are no longer under your spiritual umbrella.
I don't think so. I don't think that's something that I think we just have the optimism and the hope that all of the seeds that we've sown, spiritual seeds that we have sown, will produce the way we hope for. And I don't think a lot of parents think about their adult children, going in a different direction and exploring life. I don't think a lot. I never thought about that. And a couple of my kids have, gone their own direction.
Mm-hmm.
Gone their own direction.
Okay, but principally, I guess maybe even spiritually, they're not under your tent anymore. They're under their own.
They're under their own, and they're under God's, most important.
Well, that's what the point being is.
Yeah.
They're accountable to God, not necessarily. You pray for them, but you don't have authority over them.
Yeah. All I would say, I think our two most responsible things that God would have us do when we send our son and daughters out into the real world, it's the real world now, is to pray for them and to be available to respond to them if they have questions and other things like that, and obviously have them engage in our life. But it's the expectation thing that we have as parents now that we have to really analyze and recalibrate. It's our expectations.
What do you say to parents that at this season, all of a sudden they're experiencing, they may not admit it, but deep in their heart, they're experiencing a loss?
I would totally validate them.
This is now an adult. You have no control over this person. They have reached this age. They're on their own.
Yes, well, anybody that's close with their children and have the highest hopes for their kids, obviously, go through a season of grief. And grief is just another word for loss. It's a good kind of grief, though. It's a grief that God has designed for all families. And I would validate them. I would say, yes, this is definitely a season of loss, and the Lord wants you to go through those emotions. He doesn't want you to stay stuck there, I'll tell you that right now. But he wants you to go through those emotions and experience them, because as we go through grief, he presses it even closer to us anyway. You know. So I would validate them. I would not tell them to let it go immediately. I would walk with them, because it is a bittersweet event in our life. And hopefully you end up on the sweet side of it. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's an interesting time. No matter where you are in the family pecking order, when you see someone graduate, it is saying that this season is done, this season's starting.
It's a new season, and God is a God of change. I will say this, though, it's kind of humorous to me. But, you know, especially, I mean, moms and dads, it depends on their personality. Which one has an easier time letting them go? I frequently find, though, that moms have a hard time letting their child go. You know, because they're encouragers, there's nurturers. And I've seen some moms say, you know, I'm really struggling. I mean, I'm just leading up to this big day, that final year, they really struggle about letting their darling go. And then come around April or May, they start changing their tune and going, now I'm excited for them to go, because that last year that they're home is a very difficult year. So a parent that originally is hesitant and even sad to see them go are now, I think it's the smartest thing they can do, because one thing it tells the kids is that you are now on your own.
What about the sign out front that says room for rent?
It's a time of change. And actually, now that you bring that up, it is a time for couples, if you're at that age, where you might want to downsize, or you might want to move to a different area, or you might want to do something that you would have done if you didn't have kids.
Yeah.
It could be an exciting time as well. A time of change, for sure.
Okay, bottom line, I guess if I'm hearing you correctly, let go.
Let go. Ask the Lord to help you. Let it go. Because that's what his will is. His desire is for you to raise and release him and let it go and trust him. Biggest issue, trust him for the oversight and the management now of your adult child's life.
Okay. Do you speak into their life or wait till you're asked to?
I think it's better to, well, just let me answer this real quick. I think it's better to wait till they ask. But if they're doing something that is very inappropriate and very clearly commented on in Scripture as not a godly behavior, I think you need to speak up one time and then let it go. Matter of fact, I heard a program on the Dove many years ago. Remember when we used to be with, what was it, Family Radio?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard one of the interviews there, and it was a lady calling in, and her daughter and some of her best friends' sons, raised together in the Lord, in the church, they graduate, they shack up, they move in with each other. Devastated the parents, devastated them. And the advice that was Randy Carlson, remember? Randy Carlson. The advice that he gave was, if you've raised them in the Lord and in the Scriptures, and they've had strong signs of loving Jesus, they know the truth. They already know the truth. If you're concerned about the direction that they're going after this graduation or this move out or change in life, warn them one time and never say anything else.
Okay, I get that, because I follow that. At the end of the day, if somebody's been raised right and goes down a different road, I really don't think you have to say anything. I think they know they're doing wrong.
They already know.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I mean, just to add to this, I've heard some believers say whose parents, they went way off to the other, changed their whole lifestyle and ideology. And, far from the parents, saying, we're praying for you, we're walking with you, the Lord is going to work in your life, and, you know better, that one conversation. I see the other extreme, that parents totally embrace the things that the Scriptures are clear on what you should not do. And then I've heard those kids actually say, that was a disappointment to me, because that's not how my parents lived the whole life I was raised, and now I've gone off the rails and they've gone with me, and I'm disappointed in my parents.
That's big. All right, let me take a quick break. Teamworks-works.com, that's Bill's website, and pastoral counselor, and of course, basically Teamworks. His team comes into your team and helps you guys harmonize and become more productive, get along, smile, and have more barbecues. We'll be right back.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Welcome back with the Psycho Answer Man, Bill Gallagher.
Psycho Answer Man?
Yeah. He can't get his microphone to work.
Is it working now?
You got him?
Is it working, guys?
Yeah, we got him. Okay.
Hey.
All right. Anyway, good morning, or good afternoon, good
Good, whatever.
Yeah, Psycho Answer Man. All right, look, part of this interesting thing about graduation, you mentioned earlier sometimes that last year, parents in their own mind begin the transition too. Yes. It goes from, oh gosh, this is their last year, to sooner or later as they get close to graduation, boy, this is going to change, time for us to maybe make some changes.
Yes.
It also says to the family, to the parents, have we really planned ahead right?
Yes, and I think ideally, if you can start working in your mind and your heart with your partner or your spouse, the year that they're leaving, and start making plans for yourself, like what is it going to look like? For example, the people that train on change experts. Nobody likes change, even good change. It's uncomfortable.
Well, we got it going on here with this remodel.
Oh, I see. It looks good, by the way.
By the way, you're going to have to come in and counsel everybody. Nobody here likes change.
Well, okay. Yeah, well, that's just what I'm saying. Perfect timing for that. So the people that teach on change say there's 3 steps that you should really acknowledge. This is good for leadership, too, in a workplace, because there's going to be changes in their workplace. Is first of all, explain why the change was necessary anyway. Well, this is an obvious reason. They're graduating, okay? But if you don't explain why this particular change is necessary, people resist the change. A change imposed is a change opposed. A change forced or imposed on someone is a change opposed. So, but we already know why they're leaving, okay? The second thing's really important, though. What are things going to look like in our home when our graduating student leaves? What's going to be different about it? What is it going to look like? How are we going to function? What are we going to do? And that's the time to start preparing and talking about your life after your adult child leaves. Maybe you need to be involved in a different ministry in the church. Maybe you need to take on a pickleball hobby. Maybe you need to travel a little bit more. But will your relationship, it's going to impact the relationship if you don't have a plan. And by the way, while we're talking about that, I have a book here called The Couple's Retirement Puzzle. And although maybe you're not retiring when your adult child goes out, this is an excellent book on the conversations to have specifically when you have an empty nest or your child is gone. It's a very, very, very good book. And they emphasize having a plan.
Okay.
So I think if you wait till after they're gone and then start talking about it, it could be a little bit more stressful.
Okay.
So I think it's very, very important to, what is it going to look like when our child's gone? How frequently will they come home? By the way, sidebar note, usually it's probably, I would say frequently, not always. But when your graduating student comes home for spring break or Christmas or even partial summer, it generally is pretty awkward because they've already cut the strings. Most of the kids have already cut the strings and they're their own authority now. So sometimes it can be a little stressful when they come back for that very reason. That
makes sense.
So preparation is very, very, very good. Yet, it's part of the growth process for us as believers. It's not our race anymore. And I think there's a big difference. Matter of fact, I know there's a big difference. Let's say they're in a real need, a financial need. Let's say something like that comes up. There's a huge difference between compassionate assistance and enabling.
Oh.
That's a good topic to discuss someday, like what are the differences? But there's a huge difference in coming alongside to continue to help launch, if you will, versus doing it for them.
Okay.
Enabling means doing for your graduated son or daughter what they must be doing for themselves.
Okay.
And that's really not all that healthy because then they become used to that and then they feel entitled and here you go,
Okay.
So, yeah, there's some of the things to be aware of.
Wow. Okay, so do you say to your graduating student, have a nice life?
No. I say, I'm proud of you. You've worked hard for this, son or daughter. This is the moment. And, think about our grief, the grief of most parents. But then look at the joy and the rejoicing they're having on graduation day. We're supposed to engage in that. So look at the differences on the emotions that we go through. Most kids that graduate and leave are thrilled. have a little bit of fear. It is a challenge. It is new. And that's what we need to support as parents.
Do churches have a role in any of this?
Well, I think that certainly, I mean, you can have a support group if you feel you need it. I think it's something that is not a bad thing to teach on at this time of the year. If people do topical sermons, that's topical. It'd be a nice switch to talk about this, during this time of year in the fellowship. You can, I suppose, you can develop a support group, or just talk to other friends that have been through it, and have people pray you through the transition,
Okay, I want to come back to really a struggling parent when their whole life has been wrapped up in raising their children. And then in today's world, it gets magnified by the problems with public education. So some parents and families maybe have made the decision to homeschool or to be much more involved in their kids' lives.
Yeah.
And that raises the level of emotion much, much higher, because it's not as if you're putting your child on a school bus and you'll see him 8 hours later.
Yeah.
You're there all the time. You're now a part of this process that's very intimate in many ways. And all of a sudden, all those years of investment comes to an end. This is almost a PTSD moment for a parent.
It can be. It can be. Yet we know that it's what is appropriate, what God has willed for most families. There are cases where, kids stay behind to help the family, and it's appropriate, So I say grieve the process. Let's not pretend or act like it doesn't hurt, but go to the Lord. Go to the Lord multiple times a day if you need to, and say, Lord, just release me of this, help me to trust you, and realize, and I've thought of this many times. I mean, none of my kids, as far as I know, were the stinkers and the troublemakers that I was at that age. I mean, I was sent away for 6.5 months when I was 17, and I turned 18 incarcerated. So when I
don't know why.
No, I thought it'd be a surprise to many people. My wife said, "No, I know why." But one of the powerful things is when you start to get a little fearful that you do not know what's going on, or you haven't heard from them for a while, which is another thing that can happen. Like, does your life end with that, or what's going on? Please, and many people would relate to this, think about where you were.
Well, that's my next point. Does anybody really become totally transparent with their parents? And I think if you're honest with yourself, the answer is no. Everybody keeps things from their parents, right?
Yes. And every one of my kids, probably when they hit 30 or later, have come forward with some pretty embarrassing confessions.
Okay, well, that's because...
But nothing as bad as I did.
Okay, but see, that also says that your home was comfortable enough where they could be transparent even if it was 30 years later.
Yeah.
Okay, but the point being, I don't know of anybody that does not tell their parents everything. It just doesn't happen.
It just doesn't happen, yeah.
And so you got to accept that. Okay, one last question before we run, because just a quickie. What about the parent that's too happy to get him out of the house?
Well, that opens up a big subject. If too happy.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it could be because of that last year, because they had a...
But I've talked to parents that can't wait till he's gone. Can't wait till she's gone.
Well, that's not a...
So that tells me there's family dynamics that are...
There's family dynamics, and it also tells me, because the question comes up, when is it the right time for your adult child to leave? And I think one of the times is when you're relieved to see them go. Now, that doesn't mean it has to ruin your relationship forever, but it also can put a spotlight on some things that need to be healed in that family.
Okay. So if they're in this transition, they've graduated, but they haven't left home yet, give that some space to happen.
Give it some space, and don't call them all the time. And get to the point, hopefully, where they can call you, and it'll never be as much as you hope for. I can say that in most cases.
Okay. lower your expectations.
Drop the bar.
Yeah.
Drop the bar a little bit. And this is a new phase in her life. It can be quite exciting once you work through the grief.
All right. Well, the Psycho Answer Man has a website.
Psycho Answer.
Teamworks-works.com. Teamworks-works. I say that lovingly. But anyway, he does have a great team that comes to your team and work with you. He's also a pastoral counselor. Doesn't do a whole lot of that much more. But anyway, teamworks-works.com. That's how you get a hold of Bill. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Good to see you.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with